Hello, and welcome to the Warp Shelf. I'm Frank Duran.
I'm Deshaun Vasquez.
And today we're doing our yearly year in review. Everything we've seen, done, gone to, everything we've watched movies-wise, everything we've played games-wise, and events things that we've done and did this year.
Basically, just a big retrospective and look back at 2022 as a whole.
Yeah, I know it's like, we were already in January and some people are like, New Year's, that's over. New Year happens the whole January. Forget about it. Especially
you gotta prepare for the resolutions and
yeah, and we
and
have
build
to talk
upon them so you can't fulfill them properly.
I think that this is an important talk because we'll talk about movies that we think deserve to win prizes in the coming year, and I think that that's what will be kind of like
since the Golden
fun.
Globes just happened.
Yeah, the Golden Globes will happen. We'll talk a little bit about that, like in conjunction for what we've seen to that. But mostly today, it's going to be year in review. We're going to start off with Deshaun had some events he went to this year that he wanted to start off with because I haven't gone to any cons or anything, but Deshaun has.
Yeah, this was a busy year for me. This was like most events I've ever been to. Also, like first concerts I had ever been to, etc. So there was a lot.
Yeah, good.
So the
I'm glad,
earliest
dude. You got to get out there. I did not get out there much because we got the house this year, so it wasn't exactly a year to go out. But like
it's actually a pretty eventful year for me this year. I kept making the joke that I think instinctually, since I'm going to be 30 this year, I think I was just subconsciously trying to make the last year of my 20s a memorable one.
Now that I'm 30, dude, what I do is I've been trying to fix all the problems I've had all through my 20s and before that, and I'm like trying to improve them. I'm like, I'm 30 now time to get better. Finally, at this point, it took this long, but I'll get better. Been going to the doctors for allergy shots, so there you go. How about that?
That's a step.
It's a step. It'll stop the sneezing and everything else,
and constant mouth breathing.
Yeah, shut up. That won't be fixed. I don't know about that.
Ain't going anywhere.
I don't go about that.
That's the trademark. So events.
I know. I was always so hurt when Stranger Things, when they made it like a fucking insult to be a mouth breather. I was like,
well, it definitely wasn't. It was definitely always a thing before Stranger Things. Mouth breather has been a general insult as long as I can remember, really.
Yeah, but I have asthma, so that's ableism. Like, fuck you guys.
I resemble that remark.
So. Keep going, dude.
So the first event I had ever went to, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this on one of the Filthy Casuals we did this past year, was Van Gogh, the immersive experience.
Ooh.
Yeah, that came to Boston. So for those who don't know, it's basically an exhibit with contemporary pizzazz. So you get to see a gallery of replicas for Van Gogh's work,
right? Lots of projection work.
There's a whole projection room where you sort of watch this projection tour throughout his career and mixes with its art. It's very soothing. They play music. You just sit and enjoy the vibe. But you also go through a general gallery of looks at his works. They did this cool thing where they one of his paintings, the painting of the room with the chair.
Yes.
And stuff. They replicated it in that style as if it was a set. So you could sit down and take pictures in it.
That's cool. I did see some selfies of that, and I was like, what the fuck?
And then you went through, and then there was a VR section where you would put on fucking Vives and go through this nice, virtual tour of, the town he lived in and worked in. And you're like, oh, this is where he painted that. This is where he painted that. This is the famous restaurant you always see. I'm like, oh, I remember that from Doctor Who. I know that restaurant.
Yeah, was it just a big oh yeah, Doctor Who did this? I remember this from Doctor Who.
Only a little bit, not as much as you would think.
Okay, because I love Vince Van Gogh, definitely Vince Van Gogh, whatever you want to call it. It is absolutely one of my favorite artists. My mom's had a book of it when I was a kid, so it was one of those things that I would go through the book constantly. And Vincent is one of my favorite all time.
It was nice because not only was it like a tour through Europe, but you would see it as if like here's the realistic side of it, where it's like, you know, Oculus/Rift CG
Yeah,
versus like what the world looked like through Vincent's eyes, and it would like replicate a style throughout.
that's cool.
It was nice.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
My mom also loves Van Gogh, so she
Van
was
Gogh.
super excited to go.
That's awesome.
And
Sounds like a good time.
then after that, I went to go see Tom Segura because he was doing his world tour.
Nice, nice,
So
nice,
that's first stand up I had ever been to.
nice. That's great. I've only
That's a
been
good
to
one to
like
pick.
open mics and like local stuff. You know, I did the Boston had the improv. They have like the Boston Improv Festival, and that was a lot of stand up that I saw there. But like, I haven't been to like a show for stand up.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't like paid for a ticket other than like
Yeah.
the festival ticket that I bought, you know.
Yeah, that was at the where's Tom Segura? He wasn't at the Wilbur. Christina P was at the Wilbur later. He was at the Wang.
Wang. The Wang. Good theaters. Good Wilbur and the Wang, they're nice.
And they're
worked
right
behind
next to each other.
and they're really close. I've worked at both and they're nice.
Then after that, I went to the Colonial, which is like right across the street from like it's right on the Boston Common.
Nice. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to see Neil Gaiman there because he had a little like talk with people. He was just talking about like his experiences, his work. He had this really beautiful tribute after Neil Adams died.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So
sounds like a good
nice.
time.
And he was selling his books afterwards, like signed copies. So I managed to get a signed copy of Fragile Things.
That's great.
I wanted Sandman. Sandman
person.
went first, of course.
Of course it did. Of course it did. Disappeared.
But it was nice. It was nice to just bask in the wisdom and just the soothing voice of Neil Gaiman for about an hour, and he would just read stuff from read some of his short stories. He's like, "Yes, Neil Gaiman, regale me."
Yeah, he's so soothing to watch. It's like, you know, one of those things where whenever you watch an interview of him, you're like, wow, this is nice and relaxing.
It makes sense why he
somehow.
does those like Dickens tours where he like dresses up as Charles Dickens and goes to places to actually read like Charles Dickens's work.
Yeah, right.
Like Charles Dickens used to do.
Pretty
just
cool.
like, yep, soothe me. After that, after that was stuff. I guess I didn't. Oh, I did list it. Good. So Focus does this thing called Candlelight, which is meant to be like these affordable concerts with like a leaning towards a particular like fandom, I suppose.
Okay.
So it's basically like a local like orchestra from Boston performing like themed concerts.
Okay.
Like
That's
cool.
cool.
It's specifically the Boston String Quartet.
Okay. That's nice. They're great.
So they do a bunch. So like around Halloween, they'll be like Candlelight presents horror movies. So it'll be like a bunch of like famous, iconic like horror movie themes as played by a string quartet.
Okay.
That sort of stuff.
Nice.
The one I went to was the best of Hans Zimmer.
Oh, beautiful. Dude, I didn't know Hans Zimmer today. I was watching a fucking YouTube short today, and they were like, Hans Zimmer is the pianist in Video Didn't Kill the Radio Star. And I was like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Like, I was like, are you telling me the guy who fucking literally launched MTV era of music videos is also the same guy doing like some of the best soundtracks ever? Are you shitting me? Like what?
Yep.
What? Like that's crazy. Like
Hans Zimmer's
I love that. I love that. I didn't know it was like a rock star composer. Like I didn't really understand. I just thought he was like a classical composer guy. I didn't really understand he was a rock star.
Yeah, it's super wild. It's definitely something to aspire to. But it was a great selection. Like you had stuff from like some of his Disney work. You had superhero stuff. They did the Wonder Woman theme from BVS and like the own Wonder Woman movie. They did Cornfield Chase from Interstellar, which was great.
Nice.
To say what you want about Interstellar, that for me is like maybe his best work. Like that and Dunkirk, like are so fucking good.
They are so fucking good. They're so top notch. I think he always kills it. I'm never like Hans Zimmer didn't do so good this time. Like
Yeah.
like like I'm like no, he fucking knocked it out of the fucking park. Like you're like all right, fuck yeah. So that sounds like a great event though.
Yep. And then after that, I went to go see Anamanaguchi perform the Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game soundtrack.
Nice. Nice. That's great. How was that?
Great. Fucking nerdy. It's weird that of the concerts that I went to, which were several this year, that one was the most rowdy.
Of course it was, though.
One for the fucking video game music is the only one that had a mosh, for the record, which is really fucking funny to me.
That's great. I love that. That's great.
And good venue, Big Night Live. So I've been there like 3 times now. Yeah.
Big Night Live's a good time. Absolutely. I saw Jungle there. They were great.
So it was like a mix. They performed the entire soundtrack nonstop. And then after that, it was like select works from their albums and stuff. Nice. Also like official video game covers that they've done. Like they did some covers that they've done for the Undertale music. And while I'm not huge on Undertale, it's not really my thing. The fucking soundtrack is mwah. I've listened to it anyway.
Did you beat Undertale at least once? Did you like?
No, I barely played it.
Really? I mean, I still beat it. It's like it wasn't my cup of tea, but I understood that this was like a cultural touchstone of a game that I needed to like play through, and it was a bullet hell sort of. So I was kind of like, you got me. Like I was like, you got me gameplay wise. I'm like, I don't really care for what's going on story wise.
Bullet hell, and then you trick me into enjoying a story.
But I really did enjoy the music. I think that Undertale, that's the real, that's the real thing there.
There are plenty of franchises.
It's Toby Fox, right? That's his name. Yeah. Toby Fox is incredible, and his new music for Sonic Frontiers is actually pretty slapping. I don't know if you heard it yet.
I've heard some of the Frontiers music, and it's good. It's good. If you're like, whether a Sonic game is good or bad, you can at least have the decency to leave us a few bangers.
Yes, right? Like, I better
like 06 is one of the most infamous games of all time, and even then, that fucking soundtrack is mwah.
Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 have some of the best fucking music, and you're just like, oh no, that shaped a whole generation's fucking music taste.
Yeah, me, I'm that generation.
Yeah, that's me. Tag me.
So that was a lot of fun. Then after that, I saw Christina P., Tom Segura's wife, also a comedian.
Nice.
Super fucking funny.
Nice.
It definitely, I did almost feel bad just because you can tell the difference between like how big their careers are versus like he was at the Wang, which is right next door, which is huge, and she was at the Wilbur, which is a little smaller.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, equality. But she's not as big as of yet, but God, that was fucking funny.
Yeah, it was good. That's good. I've listened to a few episodes of the podcast. I'm not a huge fan of it, like just because
your mom's house? No, yeah. I got to be in the mood for that. It's a little too chaotic for me.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's very much like entering a couple's conversation sometimes, and you're like, oh
I'll
no.
usually go to the ones where they have a guest, like a fellow comedian or something like that, or Two Bears One Cave, just because
Two Bears One Cave is great.
Yeah.
I do think it's ridiculous most of the time, but it is I think they know how to make a good podcast. Like that
helps, especially if it has a guest.
Even if I'm not a big fan of Tom, it's like I still like what he's doing there. Like you're like I get it. This is this is good. It's not like Joe Rogan where I'm like fuck you, Joe Rogan, and also fuck your content. Like I'm like, stop showing up on my YouTube shorts. Like fuck off. Like whenever I see the curtains if I see red curtains behind somebody, I'm down. I'm putting the down
immediate
button on
swipe away.
Immediate swipe away. I'm like, even if it's somebody, I'm like, hey, it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, and then I'm like, but red curtains, fuck out of here. Like.
Well, the advantage of Neil deGrasse Tyson is that whenever he was on Joe's podcast, he would always like dominate the conversation. You probably wouldn't even hear Joe. It probably wouldn't even come back to him.
No, that's the worst part is you just hear Joe going, "Oh, really? Sick." Like, and you're like, "Shut
crazy.
up, bro. That's crazy." You're like, "Shut up, Joe." Like, sorry, I'm not hating on Joe,
but Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer are two ones that are up there for me. I lean towards Tom just because his sense of humor is much more morbid and it appeals to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's about right. And then
And
what else?
after that, let me try to speed through these a little faster since we're
Yeah.
only halfway through the events.
Yeah, right. We gotta move.
So after that, I went to Joe Bob's Indoor Drive-In Geek Out,
Oh, that's awesome,
where I
dude.
met
That's
Joe
great.
Bob Briggs and Darcy the Mail Girl, where they hosted and talked about and presented a double feature, The Brain and Brain Damage.
Oh, that's
Both
awesome. Two
silly,
good ones.
schlocky fun. I was already a big fan of Brain Damage anyway. That's probably my favorite Frank Henenlotter film. I
Really
know people
nice.
I know people either usually say Basket Case or Frankenhooker, but I like Brain Damage.
I know. I haven't seen any of those yet. I need to. I've put them off for a while, but I saw a trailer for Frankenhooker this past Halloween, and I was like, might have to watch Frankenhooker. Like
Yeah,
that,
it is
that looks wild.
So that was fun. It was good to meet them. Got a poster somewhere in a
Nice.
tube because I haven't stopped putting posters on the wall until we like get to a bigger spot.
Yeah, makes sense.
Then I went to Fan Expo Boston 2022.
Awesome.
And that was its own can of worms. I got to meet David Tennant,
Beautiful.
get a bunch of stuff signed. I met
He's
Will
not that
Friedle.
special, so I don't know why you're telling us about that.
Ah. Good deep cut.
Deep cut.
Yeah, that was fun. Went to his panel. Got to meet Will Friedle and have him sign my Batman Beyond pop that came with my complete series set.
Nice. That's great.
So
Yeah,
all around good time.
What number are you at for Funkos? I was thinking about that the other day. Do you have enough? I know you have the sheet online.
There used to be the pop price guide, and there's also the official Funko app, which helps you keep count, but I have not
Nice.
updated that in a long time. It probably wouldn't take too long because I haven't been buying as many lately, other than like Dragon Ball ones that I prioritize.
Yes, of course.
But I do have a lot. I do have a lot, and I know my collection is pretty valuable now.
Nice. I don't know if I told you, but before we moved, I did get rid of all my Funkos except
the
for
tiny ones.
Tiny ones. I got rid of all the tiny ones, and I did get rid of a lot of the big guys. I kept only you can see up there Vampire Batman because I love that one. Red Rain. And I have Godzilla downstairs that you gave me. I of course didn't get rid of that. That one's sick.
Yeah.
But I sold everything else at like a Bullet Moose and then a place called Level Up in Salem. And got some good money and was able to get my Steam Deck, and I don't regret anything about that.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
it definitely paid for itself.
Definitely paid for itself. And it's one of those things that I'm building the models, and I kept looking at the Funkos, and I'm like, I don't use these for anything, and I feel like it's a terrible thing to break them out sometimes, you know. Like you're like, I kind of want to do the photos. There's like there's a Instagram called Lord of Funko, and he does a great job of doing Funko photography, but like I'm sure half of his feed is people being like, you opened the box, you know, like even though he's like doing great photos of them.
I usually open the box the once when I first get it to get a good picture, and even then I'm like really careful. I'm like, don't bend slowly, just slowly jiggle it until the flap comes undone. There we go. No creases, no bends,
no nothing. No, and it wasn't. It's like I don't hate Funkos or anything. It was just one of those things that I was like, I have a big collection here, and it's taking up a lot of space, and I wasn't getting joy from them. And
that's pretty much the thing. Like Funko's a great way to collect when you're on a budget because they're so inexpensive. So it's easy to get a shitload of them.
Exactly.
But you know, if you ever move up to a more meaningful, like high quality collection that costs a little more, it does make it seem a little lesser in comparison.
Yeah, and I mean, I really love. It's like I love my Gundam figures, but I've also really. It's like I kind of want to start collecting some more of the bigger figures. You know, like I mean, I really love the black and white you gave me up there. But it's like. I also want to keep getting more of those maybe at some point.
Yeah,
you know,
like more genuine like figures and statues.
Yeah, exactly, and stuff that like it's not a bad thing to like touch, you know, like sort of, you know, like it's like I don't want to get a prime
like that black and white Batman. You wouldn't
like,
want to keep that in the box.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be sad, you know. Like you're like, no, I gotta look at that beautiful boy up on the shelf all the time. But it's like it's nothing against Funkos. It just was like, oh, I think I can still get a good amount of money for this collection, and it's like, and it wasn't bringing me the same joy, so I was like,
Yeah,
let's do it.
absolutely.
And
I'm already at the point where I've like slowed way down and I cherry pick. But then again, I've always been that
yeah,
way where I don't
you've
get
been
too
yeah, you
obsessive.
only get the good stuff. You're not
Yeah.
like, you're not getting everything.
And I'm also
that
not
fucking
hung
comes
up on variants, even for the Dragon Ball ones, which is like my most important collection. I'm not
Yeah.
just like, oh, I got the Super Saiyan Goku, but this one is the glow in the dark one, so I got to get that one too. I'm like, no, I already have it. It's fine.
I already got it.
But this one's flocked. I'm like, I don't care.
This one's rainbow. You're like, what?
So after that, after Fan Expo, I went to go see Bill Burr at Fenway.
Oh, beautiful. That's
Which was
awesome.
a
Where were you
historic
in
occasion
Fenway?
because it's the first time a stand-up comedian's ever performed at Fenway.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. Bill Burr deserves that, to be like the first stand-up in Fenway. Where were you seated in Fenway?
Well, I was on the green, so I
Okay,
wasn't in
that's
the
cool.
actual stadium. I actually had a nice seat.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was on the green. I wasn't especially close. Like, it was still him at a distance, but they also have those huge fucking monitors,
Huge
so
screens,
it doesn't make it
huge
as much of an
monitors.
issue. But I also wasn't in like the bleachers, thankfully. So it was a decent seat. It was good.
Yeah, I did a couple
definitely
gigs working at Fenway, and it's a lot of fun setting things up on the field. But you're like,
I
ooh.
definitely get picky with events like this, where I'm like, if I can't get a decent seat, then I'm not going.
Just like, hell no, I ain't going.
And worth it, I'll wait.
Which
But
is true.
that was good.
Sometimes
Super
it's
funny.
better just to watch it at home. Oh my god, I'm sure.
Going through the
Super
whole
fun.
putting my phone in a pouch thing was fun.
In a pouch?
Yeah, they he doesn't allow like cell phones at his shows.
Oh.
And he even made a joke about that. It's just like, hey, everyone gets their fucking panties in a twist now. So you guys got to put your phones away. So what they did was they offered like these little pouches, like these like felt pouches that you put your phone in, and they lock it so you can keep it in your pocket, but you can't open it until they unlock it when you leave.
That's so stupid, but cool, I guess.
Yeah, but
That's
also
so
you know how
weird.
people are.
Yeah, I guess so.
And the last thing comedians need is people like recording their sets, especially early on when they're trying to work out their material.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's like if they're not putting out the content, then it just feels like they're stealing. It's like watching a movie, like so.
So super funny. Had a great time there. We did start like way later because it's a huge crowd of drunk Bostonians getting their fucking hot dogs and beer. So the show didn't start until like after, like an hour after it was supposed to, because everyone took fucking forever to actually get in their seats.
That's crazy. That's too much. It's too damn much for a comedy show. You're like, this is fucking an hour later. What the fuck?
So after Bill Burr, there was another concert. That's when I went to go see Wolf Alice at Big Night Live.
Oh, nice. Wolf Alice is great. I've set up for them before. They're awesome.
Yeah, that was a great show. I think the thing that introduced me to Wolf Alice was Trainspotting 2, actually, because they have a song on there, Silk.
Nice.
And I'm like, damn, this song is great. And, that's how I experience all my music, as you know, where it's just like, it's in a soundtrack or it's in a game, especially. I'm like, yo, this is banging. What else have they done? And that's how I experience music.
It's
fuck
so
your
funny.
Apple Music, fuck your Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Spotify algorithms. That's how I get my music.
I literally sit, like, one of my things is like once or twice a week I go through the new releases playlist that YouTube Music puts together for me, and I'm just like, oh, that's good stuff. That's okay. Sometimes it's just like immediately, nope, moving on, but sometimes you're like, hey.
I mean, I'll say this. I think it's still better off for you that way anyway.
Yeah.
At least you have the open mind, because you're in your 30s now. This is the time where you start hating all modern music that wasn't from your era.
I'm not that guy.
And you never want to fall into that
all
trap.
Music. Yeah, I'm never it's like literally I'm like, when people are like making fun of people being like, I listen to everything. I'm like, yeah, I'll literally listen to everything. Like, the only thing I'm stopping you is maybe some heavy country, but even then I'm kind of like, some of these hit well, like I grew up listening to country, so I'm not against it. Like, my mom was
there's
a big
definitely
country.
a difference between like actual like meaningful country and like pop country.
Exactly. And it's like one of those things that I'm not against any music at all, really. That's really it. If it's a slapper, it's a slapper. It doesn't matter what fucking genre it is. If I'm banging, if I'm headbanging, if I'm moving to it, like, then it's not a problem.
Which is why I had to get on you when we did the Hawkeye episode and you were talking shit about Imagine Dragons.
I didn't realize that the boys meme was until today. The boys meme where they're like I when somebody dies is an Imagine Dragons song. I didn't fucking realize that like it was like literally today. I was like thinking about that song. I was like, oh, I want to put it on this video for Instagram, and I was like, oh wait. It's an Imagine Dragons song.
They got
Get out of here. I was like, get the fuck out of here. They got me. Son of a bitch.
I remember calling you out on the Hawkeye episode because of that. It's less because like I don't have a horse in this race. I'm indifferent to Imagine Dragons, but you got like angry about it. Just like, oh,
Imagine Dragons is the only one. Like really, like I'll forgive most people. It's just like the vapidness of like things like Nickelback or Imagine Dragons, it makes me upset because it's like one of those things where you're like this is dumb music and dumb people like it, you know, like where you're just like, oh no, like it's too simple, it's too easy, like literally sail, like see, like what the fuck, there's no other words in that song. I know, I've listened to it, there's only sail. That's the only fucking word in that fucking song at all. And
I'll say this: it's still worth it. It's still worth bearing the Imagine Dragons to go through Arcane. Just saying.
All right, fair. I'll let it go. And of course, same thing for boys. Same thing with boys too. Yeah, let's keep it moving. Events. Let's go. You got it.
After Wolf Alice, I went to go see Gorillaz. Gorillaz were great.
Fucking incredible. I bet.
Great seats. Loved hearing them live.
Sick.
Next one was Claudio Simonetti's Goblin performed Suspiria. Literally watching the original Suspiria with the band who composed the soundtrack to begin with performing the soundtrack live. It was amazing.
That's fucking sick. That's fucking sick as hell.
Then after that, it was Distant Worlds Choral, which is the official orchestral tour that Final Fantasy does once about every 5 years.
That's cool.
Where they perform like select pieces throughout all of the games, from like classic to more contemporary games,
which are
bangers. It was fantastic. It was great. Yoko Shimomura was in the fucking audience. She does all the music for Kingdom Hearts.
That's sick. There's
really this famous song from Final Fantasy X where Tidus and Yuna kiss, and they actually brought the original singer who performed it from the game to perform it live. I almost cried.
I'm so glad, dude. That sounds awesome as hell. And was that the last
final
one?
Was
that was that the last concert for the year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the final thing that I did for the year event-wise was go see Clerks 3 with you for the convenience store.
Hey, go check out our episode where we talk about it. My events is a lot less. I was looking at pictures. I literally looked at my Google Photos concerts. I saw Everything is Terrible at the Press Room in Portsmouth. Everything is Terrible is an internet video, like they find the worst shit and just like string it all together, and it's amazing. Totally worth the YouTube checkout, and it was a hilarious live show. Then I saw Eugene Merman introduce the Bob's Burger movie at the Somerville Theater. That was really cool.
Yeah, Somerville Theater's where I saw Suspiria.
Nice. It's
a nice little theater.
And then I can't remember the name of the band I saw in June. I don't know why, but I saw them at the Palladium, and I can't fucking remember the name. It's something with mammals or animals, and I can't fucking remember it, and I'm really sorry, guys. I'm so fucking dumb. I can't remember shit, but I really didn't do many concerts this year, mostly because the buying this house, and kind of buckling down for that for a while.
Yeah, there's a reason why we haven't been great with the episode output, guys, is because Frank's got a new home, and it was, from what I could observe, seemed like a bit of a fixer-upper, so they had to do some work for it.
We literally redid the entire upstairs floor-wise and painted every room upstairs. We redid the walls in the living room. There's still a ton more to do. So it's constant because it's old, but it's also, you know, it's ours now. So which rules, but also is wild to even think about. You're like, I finally got a house after like literally 5 years of us searching and getting rejected and like not winning any bids or anything like that. Finally it working out. You're like, holy fuck. But that's pretty much it for events for me for this year. So let's get into some games. Let's get into some games, because I know the list won't be as long.
No, I
So
only
we're gonna
beat.
move through these things, and some of them we won't give a lot of information on. Some will go into deeper, of
Yeah,
course, if
I
you
literally
feel like
only
there's something.
beat because some games you can't beat since they're strictly
Yeah,
multiplayer. 22 games this year, not much.
I've only beaten 14. Because I did play. There's two games that took up a lot of my time, and I didn't beat them because there's much deeper,
Endless,
more.
yeah.
It's like which are my two games of the year actually. So they won't be on this list, but I'll talk about them at the end when
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
done talking
talk.
about
I
them.
have a separate section on my Google Doc that's just for like favorites of each category.
Nice. So games I've beaten in 2022, I'll go first because it's shorter.
Mhm.
I got Kill the Game, which was a 7 out of 10 because it was just it's a fighting game, but it was really like a what if scenario to the Kill the Kills endings, which was actually kind of fun. But 7 out of 10, not amazing, but cool. I beat Overcooked on stream with Ape Arcade. 8 out of 10, a lot of fun. Most stressful game I've ever played in my life. I beat the new Pokemon Snap, 7 out of 10, I want to say, because it wasn't able to beat the original, even though it was a lot more than the original and there was a lot more to do. I don't think it could beat the magic,
I
like
put a lot of hours into new Pokemon Snap. That for me is like if I had to give it a rating, it'd be an 8. It'd be a
yeah.
9 if it incorporated some of the elements I missed from the original.
Exactly. And that's my thing about it. It's like I'm downgrading it from an 8 because it didn't have that stuff, so we're doing reasonable ratings on that, I feel like. I did beat the story for Gundam Breaker Mobile, 5 out of 10. The story was trash. And so was the gameplay, but it was fun to build Gunpla on the game, so that's the reason to play that game if you're going to. If you're like, man, I'm poor as hell and can't buy a Gunpla, you're like, well, do I have a game for you? I beat Pokemon Legends Arceus, Arceus,
Yeah, that's the first one on mine.
8 out of 10 for me.
Did we do an episode on that?
I think we did. I believe we did do an episode fully on that. I love this game though. I will say that I loved Legends, and it made me mad when I saw the new games looking worse than this. Like I was kind of like, wow, you had such a great game there. That was a lot of fun. Expand on it. And they were like, let's expand on it by trashing it. And you're like, fuck. It's just like, damn, that is not what I wanted.
I still haven't gotten Scarlet or Violet yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to eventually. It is one of those things where like from the people I know who are just as cynical about the state of this franchise as I've been, like they're with me in that, just like this fucking shit is tanked since Gen 6 came out. I'm like, yep. They're just like, this is the best gen in years when it fucking works.
Yes, and that's what I've heard too, is that this is it's almost camp, is what I've heard from people, is that it's so much fun to play the game, but it's so bad constantly, it's almost like camp-like, where it's like a bad movie, it's schlocky. Where I'm like, that's cool, but that shouldn't be fucking happening in the biggest media franchise. Like one of the top 10 media franchises in the world, and we're getting schlock
and
games.
Here's the thing, especially since it's under like that Nintendo umbrella. And say what you will about Nintendo, about sticking to the same franchises over and over again, etc., etc. But one of the things you recognize in Nintendo most of the time is polish.
Yes.
It's weird to see a game
that
under that umbrella be this glitchy.
That's really it, is that I got my Steam Deck this year. Changed my fucking life. I got my Switch. It changed my life. I played so much Switch. Switch is I will say, my favorite console of all time. It's amazing. I think it changed the way I game. I love it. But the Steam Deck made me put my Switch down almost completely. I'm completely playing Steam Deck because the library's huge.
Of course it was going to, Frank. Like, this is what I was telling you for years. So you're like, no, man, I'm fine with this Switch. I'm like, dude, you are literally like, if you guys are familiar with Plato's allegory of the cave, where the prisoners only know the
I'm
world by
just in
the
the
shadows
corner
they
being
see on
like,
the walls.
wow, the Switch is great. Like, I got
Meanwhile,
such
there's all
great
this
games.
great stuff around you that you can't see.
Exactly. I feel that way. I feel that way with the Steam Deck because so many games just work. But I will say that some of the games they will say is verified. You do have to go in and change things up. You have to like change settings. You never ever have to change settings in any Switch game. You know, like that is
Yeah,
not
and
how
that's
it's
sort of
supposed to
the
work, you know,
and that's
like
kind of just that hard line between consoles and like PC gaming in general. Just like I put
right.
it in, and yeah, it might take a bit to install an update, but it'll fucking work. There won't be some ghosts in the machine nonsense that I can't understand where I have to look up forums for.
Because it's like I would say the biggest culprit of that is the God of War game where they're like, it's verified, it'll work, and you boot it up and it looks like ass through everything until you can pause and then change the settings. And even then, you can tell you're like, this is not, it's running, but this is not the way it's supposed to look, you know, like where you have Elden Ring and it looks and plays almost exactly the way it should, you know, like it is literally almost perfect the entire time, and it says it's verified. That's the experience I want. I want verified, and I can fucking just play it without touching it, and that's what a lot of the verified titles on Steam Deck promise. And there's only a few that you're like, what the fuck?
Okay,
What the
what
hell?
was your next one?
Sorry about that. It was New Frontiers Days, Founding Pioneers. I'm a sucker for a village sim. I will say that right now. Sometimes I just like building up a village until it's happy and in the future, like New Frontiers Days, Founding Pioneers. I was stuck on a plane for 6 hours and I beat the game in 6 hours, so it was a good time. SD Gundam G Generation Genesis. This is the game that made me fall in love with SD Gundam. It's a fantastic RPG. I basically describe it as Gundam with Pokemon and Fire Emblem. You know, so it's like you level up the Gundams so they become different Gundams, so like Pokemon, but the combat is straight up just like Fire Emblem, but with fucking mechs, and it's so good. I played 90 hours, I want to say, into this game this year. This was my most played game. I loved it. It's fantastic. I'm excited to play Cross Rays on my Steam Deck because that's where I have it now because it was super cheap. So that's one of my like games of the year, but it didn't come out this year, so it's not like it counts. It's like this is the most fun I've had all year with it, but also it didn't come out this year. But it's worth it on Switch and Steam Deck so far as I've seen. Dungeon Village was my next one, which is, again, I just like to see a village get brought up and do well. I love those. I don't know why I love that sim genre. So I was just doing a couple of these.
I mean, you're not alone. I make the joke that people like it so much because it actually gives you a life where you have any control over your success and you prospering. So you're literally living the dream because you ain't gonna live it otherwise.
Damn it, dude! What the fuck? I was just describing games over here. Why you gotta attack me like that? No, I'm just kidding. Then I actually beat when it came out on the N64 emulator, Pokemon Puzzle League, which I had to beat in easy mode. The medium mode is hard as fuck. Like, what the fuck? And like I started to play medium and I literally got stuck like 2 badges in, and I was like, fuck this, and went back so I could like hear all the voice actors and everything. That's what I really wanted. So beat that. 8 out of 10. Fantastic. Hearing everybody talk in a video game that robot-y, fantastic. And it was just a fun puzzle game. I just wish it wasn't as hard as balls when you switch to normal mode. Then Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, 9 out of 10. Fantastic game. It keeps growing. Every month they put out more content. I have not played in a while, but I love that game. That's probably the game I put the second most amount of hours into. I think it goes SD Gundam G Generation Genesis, Monster Hunter Rise, Elden Ring now, and and then I think it was. I think it's yeah. I think that's that. But then SD Gundam Battle Alliance, 8.5 out of 10. That one came out on Switch only, and it's actually a really lot of fun. It was fun to play with friends. I really enjoyed it because it was kind of like this. I like an RPG that you constantly feel like you're progressing. I think that's the ultimate addiction RPGs is when you constantly, anything you do, you feel like you move forward. And Gundam Battle Alliance, every mission you did, you felt like you moved forward a little bit, like same thing for, I think, Elden Ring. I think that it makes you feel like, wow, I move forward a little bit.
You playing Elden Ring is definitely like getting me like, see, shit, if Frank can do it, I can definitely do it.
Yeah, you definitely can. It's like I am ass at it, so it's definitely one of those things that I'm like, Deshaun would probably be good at this game. I did play the first game I played on my Steam Deck. So SD Gundam Battle Alliance was the last game I played on my Switch, and then I switched to Steam Deck. And I played Rise, Son of Rome. I don't know why. It's been a game that I've wanted to play since it came out, and I owned no system that played it. I don't know why. It just speaks to me that
really
that
just
it was,
going back to the fucking launch days of the Xbox 360.
I know. I don't know why. I was really like, I never got my hands on it when I owned my 360. It was like one of those things where I was like, yeah, I want to play Rise. Like, that sounds sick. Like, it's I mean, it's a realistic, it's basically like a God of War, very meticulous if you miss a counter type of battling, like, so very, I would say it's like a Bayonetta God of War thing going on. And it was a lot of fun. I had a good time with it. But it was one of those things where I just wanted it to look great, and it looked great on my Steam Deck. So I was like, there you go.
I would hope so, given how old the game is now.
Yeah, right. I was like, I hope it looks good. Luna's Fishing Garden. It seemed like a very short game. It was just kind of, I was looking for a fishing game where I don't know why. Sometimes I get in the mood where I'm like, I just want to fish, but not in real life.
I understand. When I was a kid, with the Sega Dreamcast, I played so much fucking Sega bass fishing and Sega marine fishing. I literally had the fishing rod controller.
Oh, that's awesome. That's sick. I did not. I did play that a lot though. So it's like, it wasn't a real, it's like an 8-bit fishing game, but I was kind of like, this scratches the fishing itch. I'll give it a go. And then I did beat Gigapocalypse, which was like kind of like this kaiju endless walking RPG sort of thing. It's like it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't great. 6 out of 10. And then the two games that I have not beaten that are my games of the year, like literally beat out Sunbreak, and would beat out G Generation if it came out this year, is Vampire Survivors and Elden Ring. Vampire Survivors, if you don't know, is kind of a I would say 8-bit, but it's even like sometimes lower than that. But like 8-bit, you just move around the screen, and it's this deep RPG. Like you are literally, the weapons you pick up are different attacks, and it's basically a roguelike that like changes every time. And I absolutely fell in love with this game. Put over almost 30 hours into it. Over 30 hours into it, and I was saying for the longest time that was my game of the year because it was so addictive, so fun, so well made for something so simple. I was really hype on that game. I was like in a GameStop being like, Ragnarok who? Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, I've been hearing nothing but good things about Vampire Survivors. I have several friends who are playing it already. That was definitely something that kind of like snuck up on people recently.
Yeah, because it's only like $5 regularly, and then it was on sale for $2, and then they just now launched the mobile version for fucking free. So go play it there, I guess. But it is fantastic on the Steam Deck. And then Elden Ring is just deep, man. I'm not a Souls guy. I've lived in a house where all 4 of my roommates were playing Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3 at any given time. So I know everything there is to know about Dark Souls because they wouldn't shut the fuck up. But never played, and I did play, and I hated it because I was like, it's so linear. You can't like go anywhere. It just beats your ass. And I bought it on Switch, and it did the same thing to me again. I was like, fuck you, Dark Souls. I ain't playing you. Fuck
That's
you.
kind of my thing. Like, I definitely have the patience and the resilience to play a game like that, but
Yeah.
it's sometimes hard to just sit down and be like, okay, I finally have time for games. You guys ready to be upset?
You guys ready to fucking be pissed? But then Elden Ring really opens it up to you because it's a deep RPG where you can like not only choose a class at the beginning, but then change that class to pretty much anything you want it to be the whole time. You know, like you can literally be anything in the game, build any, it's like about builds, you know, which is really cool. And the gameplay is really optional, and like really you play to whatever style you kind of want, you know, like it's like right now I'm playing as this like blood flame samurai where I literally enchant my blade and then fuck people up, but it's with two katanas at the same time, which I just thought was amazing. And the fights are fantastic, some of the best boss fights I've played, and I just can't believe how open it is. It feels like Breath of the Wild, and but without the emptiness of Breath of the Wild. It's like you're not crossing a field with fucking
Breath
nothing
of the
in
Wild is empty? Which is
Shut
something that no one ever fucking brings up when they talk about how perfect it is.
It's true though. It's like that's what I think Elden Ring does a great job of, is filling those gaps. It's like this is a big map, and it constantly amazes me how much bigger it gets and how much more there is to do, and like that constantly amazes me. I'm 40 hours in, and it constantly makes me be like, what the fuck? There's more over here? What the fuck? There's another area? How does it keep going? They do a great job of being like, the map's this big. Ha, I lied. Map's this big. Ha ha, I lied again. It's this big. I was still lying. You know, like, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? I absolutely enjoy it. I would recommend it to big RPG guys. It's not as frustrating as any of the Dark Souls games because you can kind of play to your strengths, and you can kind of figure out what works. And even if you can't beat something, it's an RPG, so go and level up, and come back and kick its ass. And that's what I think is actually the real thing that clicks with this game, is that it feels like a JRPG in that aspect, where you're like, I can't beat that thing. Well, I better go grind, or like take down something else, like take down a whole nother area, then come back and beat that thing's ass, you know, like, and that's fun, you know, like, you know, like, you're like, that's good time.
It's definitely one I've been considering.
That's my game of the year.
Hell, just for the fucking aesthetic alone.
Yes. Oh my God. That's the other thing too, is kind of the love that goes into pretty much every scene that you enter. You know, that's what really blows you away. You're like, holy smokes. Like, you can feel George R. Martin and everything, but obviously they just took his like world building and just ran with the fucker. And I think it is awesome. Would recommend. Game of the year, 10 out of 10. That's it for my games of the year.
All
what's your what's yours?
So starting with Legends Arceus, which we just talked about, so we don't have to really get into it.
Yep, and we have an episode.
The next one is Deep Rock Galactic, which I've had a lot of fun with.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Actually, I haven't played it in a bit. I should gather up the boys. It's fun. You're basically playing like space fantasy dwarves. Your whole thing is that you mine shit on different planets. It's procedurally generated, so like all the planets are like random, and you run into certain creatures along the way. You mine materials and you try to escape. And you have certain other objectives that might come up, like you have to set up a refinery and stuff like that, and monsters try to attack it. It's just simple, good fun.
I like that. Sounds good.
Hell, I saw someone wearing a Deep Rock Galactic shirt when I went to go see Anamanaguchi.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, it definitely has a fan base then. But yeah, it was a freebie for PlayStation Plus 1 month. They were just like, this seemed interesting. I know it was like really big when it was exclusive to the Xbox One, so let's give it a shot.
Nice. I've heard good things.
So after that is Oddworld New and Tasty, which is the remake of the original game that they made on the PS3. But it's been like ported to 4 and 5, And I bought it as early when I still was using my PS4. I just never sat down and played it. And I just had the random urge. And I'm like, all right, time to go through it. Such a classic, good, like side-scrolling puzzle game,
Nice.
puzzle
I love
platformer,
that.
which is as difficult as it needs to be, I would say. But I got
Nice.
obsessive with it for a couple of weekends where I got the platinum.
Nice. How many games did you platinum this year? Do you know?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Nice. Holy shit, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. So after that was Ape Escape, because
Nice.
they have like the PlayStation Classic library up there now, and some
Oh,
of the
that's
old
cool.
PS1 games now have trophy support. So I'm like, platinums, baby.
Ooh.
It's more platinums.
That's so funny. I mean, I
Love,
love Ape Escape. Ape Escape's great.
I love the original Ape Escape so much. So I played and platinum that.
That's awesome.
Then the rest was from the Sonic Origins collection that came out.
Oh, cool.
I
Cool. Yep.
platinum that too, so I pretty much went through Sonic 1, CD, 2, 3, and Knuckles.
Yeah,
Which
I didn't put that in my list, but I was there for Ape Arcade, beating Arkham Asylum and Sonic Origins. So I saw what happened. I did not play, but I watched and commented over all of it. So.
It's a solid collection. The change
Watch
music is a little unfortunate because it's just not as good.
Yeah.
It is nice to have a modern version of 3 and Knuckles, which has been previously inaccessible for a lot of modern ports, which really pisses me off because that's my favorite 2D Sonic game is 3 and Knuckles combined.
Dude, at my mom's house, there's still a CD of Sonic Knuckles for the PC, and I'm like,
oh, I used to have that too. I had that, and my brother had fucking Sonic's like Playhouse, whatever it was called.
That's ridiculous, Dan. You're like, what the fuck? They were just putting everything on PC like that. And you're like, all right, sure.
Let's see. Then after that, that was when I played Dead by Daylight for a little bit because I had never played it up until that point.
Oh, yeah. No, I played that on Switch. It's fun.
It's fun. It's repetitive.
It's That's really it. It's like, unlike the Jason game, I feel like there's a lot of choices in Jason. There's not many choices.
Yeah,
I'm saying Jason, Friday the 13th.
Like,
but
the Friday the 13th game is way more broken, but there's also just way more variety in a given game because there's so many variables based on like what you end up with as a match. You're just like, okay, we're in a match. Okay, Jason's over here. Cool. What are we gonna do? Let's see if we can find. Oh, we got gas. Okay, if we can find a car, we can fill it with gas. But then we'll need the battery and the keys. Just like, oh, I found the propeller. Okay, then we just need the gas, and then we can escape in the boat. Just like, oh, I found the telephone pole. We can call Tommy Jarvis, so we at least have that as a powerful character.
And
like, oh,
Dead by Daylight is, I found the box again. I turned on the box again.
Just like, we can call the cops and escape. And that's, with Dead by Daylight, it's just like, I fixed a generator. I'm going to go to the other generator and go fix it.
Oh, he stabbed me at the generator. Like, it's like, it was fun. It's fun for a little bit. I even bought a DLC pack, but then I was kind of like, why did I do that? I don't want to keep playing this game. It was totally like,
yeah, there's another game like those two that I'm going to mention later on this list.
Okay.
So after that, Psychonauts 2.
Nice.
Which I wanted to play for the longest because I did get it like early, like the year before, and just didn't dive into it. Love the original Psychonauts back in that generation of consoles. It was I think it was PS2 and Xbox. I don't think it came to the GameCube.
Nice.
Love that game. Absolute classic. G4 would never shut up about it back in the day. Wait, it ends on somewhat of a cliffhanger. Fucking more than a decade passes, finally waiting for a sequel. Double Fine finally does it as a crowd-funded game. So you're just like, well, this could either be good or really bad.
Yeah,
and then playing it turns out, oh, this is fantastic. It plays just like the original, just more polished. So it's a little less wonky. It picks up right where the original leaves off. Doesn't feel overly contemporary. Didn't pull the Kingdom Hearts 3 thing. We're just like, this takes place after 2, but it's also been over a decade since we made this. So Sora has a smartphone now, and it's really distracting. Like, everything works, and they got all of the original cast members back somehow. So like nothing feels like
I'm very scared for Kingdom
much.
Hearts 4 for how much they're gonna like try to update it. You know, like like, oh.
So platinum that 2. Love Psychonauts 2. Fantastic sequel. Don't even need the third game if you want to stop it here.
Nice.
And then
Beautiful.
after that, the Metroid marathon has died, and I went so long live the Castlevania kick because I had a big Castlevania kick this year.
Yep. If you remember last year, there was a lot of Metroid games. So this year, Castlevania.
Yeah.
Now, what name them all off? Which ones did you play?
The OG beat it. Finally beat Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2.
Mm.
You remember Curse of the Moon 1 because I think the first time I
Yep.
played it was at your place.
Yes.
When you had the Switch, and then I got it for myself and got obsessed with it, beat the shit out of it. I had 2 for a while. It's much more difficult than the first game. So I finally went back and beat it after I beat the OG Castlevania. Skip Simon's Quest because Simon's Quest is hot garbage. So I played 3, then I played 4, Bloodlines, which I had never played. Kid Dracula, which I had never played because it's the first time it's been localized over here.
Nice.
Which it's not. It's less a Castlevania game and more a Mega Man game for babies. So it's really easy.
That's funny though. Mega Man game for babies.
And then I had the Requiem collection for the longest time, which I also didn't touch. But since I was going through the franchise in relative order, it was nice to jump into. So I played Rondo of Blood, fun, one of the harder ones, and then I revisited Symphony of the Night.
Nice. Yeah. How was that?
Good. It's the port that they have on the Requiem collection is based on the PSP port, which runs a lot more stabler. There's like less slowdown and stuff like that, and they kind of ironed out some of the issues. And there's extra content.
Nice.
There's like a new boss battle, new playable characters and stuff.
It's like I love Metroid, but I love the aesthetics of Castlevania, but I don't think I've ever beaten. I've beaten a lot of Metroid games. I've never beaten any Castlevania games. So
you'd probably do better with the Metroidvania style ones.
Yeah. You're just yes.
Because it's always you can come back later and fuck something up if you can't do it now. Then after Symphony of the Night, me and 2 other buddies were like already going through the Master Chief collection through like the Bungie Halo game. So we went up to 3 and we started Reach, but then like fell off of it and just didn't play it for like a year. So then after I was done with Symphony of the Night, just like, let's buckle down and actually play all of Reach now. And we did.
Nice. That's great.
Then after that, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed, the PS5 remake of the original Destroy All Humans 2, because I got the first one as well. Platinum this one too. A lot of fun. Same thing, but much more polished.
Nice.
Funny
and the
as
PS5
hell.
is running all these things just perfectly. No question. Yeah, that's awesome.
Then the next one is the big fucking time sink for me this year was Cyberpunk 2077.
Nice. On PS5, right? You didn't want to play it on PC. Nice.
I have the PS4 copy, but they a lot of games for the PS4, because the 5 is backwards compatible, especially you have the disc version, which is the one I have, will let you like, oh, you have the physical disc, put it in, you'll have access to the PS5 upgrade for free.
Oh, that's sick. That's great.
As opposed to having to rebuy it.
That's so nice.
So that's what happened with Cyberpunk. I was obsessed. I put like over 180 hours into it between 2 playthroughs. I got the platinum for it.
Nice.
And I'm happy to finally have walked away from it for a brief instant until the fucking expansion comes out. And then I'm going to go right back.
I do own it now. I am excited to play it. I think it looks great. I mean, it's good to hear everything that everyone's talking positive about it now. You know?
It always had like the potential, but this is what happens when you bully developers into releasing games early and then you're mad that it's unfinished.
But now it's not. Now it's finished. You know, like now they've actually made it.
And then the latest game I am playing, I did get the Castlevania Advance collection, so I'm playing through that now. But as far as the last game that I've finished, I guess, but it's an endless game, so it doesn't really count, is I got a free code for Dragon Ball The Breakers.
Oh, you did? Oh, fuck yeah. Okay. How was it? Because I've heard bad things.
Here's the thing. It's actually fun. Kind of like the Pokemon thing. When it fucking works, it's fun. Like, it's such a weird, hard sell. Like a Dead by Daylight style Dragon Ball game where you play as randos escaping a villain. But also,
and you're like, what the hell, Dragon Ball? What the fuck?
But also, it's kind of cool because it's sort of like the equivalent of like playing a survival game as a normie, like during a kaiju fight. It sort of has like that appeal where you're just like, it's all about the destruction that's happening just by circumstance that you need to circumvent, that you need to try to escape.
That would be a cool Godzilla game if it was
So
just like trying to escape the city. That'd be pretty cool.
so you drop in and you get a number of villains, and the idea is that the more the villain kills, they get access to a transformation. So with
Cool.
Frieza, it starts off a Frieza in the pod. He goes through all his forms up until his final form. And the more powerful they get, the harder they are to kill. And the easier it is for you guys to die. So it's all about like trying to beat the game as fast as possible, especially before they can like transform to the higher levels.
Interesting. That's
So
cool.
it's Frieza, Cell, and Boo right now.
Okay.
So it's like Frieza, and each of them has to have 4 forms. So
Nice.
Frieza's like small in a pod, second form big, the xenomorph looking one, and final form.
Nice.
With Cell, it's his weird bug larval form.
Yes.
The
Yes.
the one that he goes into the time machine with, the like brown little quadrupedal bug. It's so
Yes.
funny to play as that when you're playing as one of the villains, because he just like scuttles everywhere like
That's so
then it
funny.
goes to imperfect, semi-perfect, and perfect.
Nice.
With Boo, it's
No
interesting
Max?
because you actually
Nope. Max? What the hell? I want Max.
I wouldn't.
All right. And
With
Kid Buu?
Boo, it's interesting. You actually start off playing as Spopovich. Spopovich and
Okay.
Yamu. The idea is that you start off as the minions and you go around killing the enemies, sucking their energy so you can revive Boo in his pod.
Oh, that's actually, I love that. I didn't know about
And
that.
then
That's cool.
then you get Fat Boo, base form, Super Boo, and Kid Boo as her forms.
Nice.
And the cool thing with Boo's gimmick is that when he kills an enemy, he absorbs you instead. So you actually get a new area inside his body where if you're good about it, you can pull the pods of your fellow players out to escape.
That's so ridiculous. What the fuck? That's wild.
But it's very on brand. Like, honestly, my biggest problem with it is less about the actual games themselves, because they're kind of short, sweet, and fun. It's just a
Nice.
little unpolished. The thing is, no one's really playing the game, so wait times to actually get into a game are ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard some really low numbers for those games, and I'm like, for that game, and I'm like, ooh, that's rough.
So it's like between like the spectrum of like Friday the 13th being more varied, but much more glitchy, but also just being more fun to play because there's more to do, and Dead by Daylight being more polished but way less to do, the Breakers is kind of in the middle.
What about Among Us? Because I've noticed on your Steam, Among Us is your one of your top games. Like,
Yeah, because I don't really play on Steam very much. I have a gaming laptop. I'm usually just playing on the PS5.
But I gotta say, Among Us does fill in. It's that same genre, like very much like running from
More
a
or
killer.
less, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I always like Among Us. Among Us is good. We always like we pick a day where we fucking play it for hours, and then we leave it alone for like months, and then we go back to it and play it for hours.
Nice. Yeah,
We were
it's like
playing because
it is
there's
a
a
board
new,
game. Like it is a board
yeah.
game, so it's very similar to that.
There's a new mode they introduced called Hide and Seek, so that's what we were playing it recently,
Oh, nice. That's fun.
where the entire arena is dark and everyone already knows who the imposter is. It's just fully transformed and like instant kill. And the idea is the lights are off and we're hunted for you.
Nice. That's cool.
So
Now,
it's much more just like fast paced.
fast paced. I like
It's not about like who could it have been. It's just like, oh, we know who it is. Get the fuck away.
Get the fuck away. Run. Now, is that all your games for this year? That's everything?
Yeah, pretty much.
And what
Cyberpunk
was
took
what
a
would
lot
be
of
your
my
best?
time.
What would be your Geo game of the year? What would be
I was gonna put it at the bottom when we talk about the top for every category.
Okay, cool. All right, then let's do movies and TV. Now, I didn't separate movies and TV. It's all the same list for me.
Yeah, just go through for this one, since we're already running kind of long. Let's just like
Yeah.
rapid fire list everything, and then we'll use the best of to actually like talk about the highlights in detail.
Yes. So, and this is going to be really fast because I have 150. And we'll get to it later on for a lot of the other things. And we've had episodes for about a lot of these. But if there's a score that I throw out that, Deshaun, you're like, what the fuck? Let me know. So I'll just start it off. I watched the HBO documentary Beanie Mania, 7 out of 10. Fun stuff. Encanto, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. That shit's addictive. Encanto, 9 out of 10. Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, 7 out of 10 because it's a remake of the original show and not as good. But it is still got good designs. It's still a Gundam show, so it sleeps and bounds above most things. The Matrix Resurrections, 7 out of 10. We already talked about it. Check out the episode. The World According to Jeff Goldblum on Disney Plus, 8 out of 10. Fantastic show. Absolutely go watch it. Greener Grass, 7 out of 10. Hawkeye, we already gave a whole episode about it, 8 out of 10. Wheel of Time, I know Deshaun has this on his list too. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because it feels like it kind of it does. I don't know. It feels very floundering at points. G Gundam, 8 out of 10 because fucking yeah, G Gundam, 90s Gundam, hell yeah, fuck yeah. Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin, Advent of the Red Comet, 8 out of 10. Mobile Suit Origin, I know, Deshaun, you shit on me for not grabbing the manga back in the day. The show, though, is slapping. Absolutely worth watching. Some of the best Gundam shows. Like, absolutely, no question. Bob's Burgers Season 12, 8 out of 10. Bob's Burgers always killing it. Gundam Build Divers. This is the show that's probably the roughest to get through out of all the Gundam shows that I've watched. 5 out of 10. Really rough. But its sequel, Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise, adds some blood back into the mix. You know, like the first one is definitely just like, your Gunpla beat each other up. And you're like, cool. But it's like super rough plot-wise, so it was kind of like, But Build Divers Re-Rise, it adds some more blood to the conflict and adds some stakes. And you're like, thank fuck. Then sort of in the same universe of the Gundam Build, there's Gundam Build Fighters, 7 out of 10 for me. I think Fighters is more fun, you know. Then we watched Last Night in Soho. We did a whole episode on that. We'll give that a 10 out of 10. That's the full Monty right there. I fucking love that movie. Definitely in my like top 10 or top 5 of the year. Hogwarts 20th anniversary, Return to Hogwarts. That was the anniversary episode they put on HBO. 7 out of 10. Fun stuff. I hadn't watched Snakes on a Plane in a while, so that's on this list. 5 out of 10. It's a good time, but it's not good. Gundam Build Fighters Try. Not as good as Fighters, but still a good time. Try is an ample add to this. It's supposed to be like Try like 3, but you're like Build Fighters Try hard. But it's a good time still. It actually taught me a lot gunpla wise, which was cool. Gundam 0080 or Gundam 80 War in the Pocket. This is something I wanted to do as a Christmas episode with Deshaun, but he didn't want to watch it. We did Gremlins instead. But maybe next year we'll do the Gundam Christmas episode. But for me, that's an 8 out of 10. It might be my favorite Gundam movie. It's hard because I love so many of the movies, but that's definitely one of them. I had not seen Along Came Polly. 6 out of 10, not great. I'm not so impressed by the fancy pixie girl movies anymore, I don't think. Book of Boba Fett, I gave it an 8 out of 10 at a time. Looking back on it, I want to give it a 7 out of 10, but it was still, I think it saves itself with being Mandalorian 2.5 in a lot of ways. So we'll still keep that 8 out of 10. Watch the animated adaptation of Injustice, 5 out of 10. You were right, Deshaun. It was ass. Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms, the sequel to Mortal Kombat Legends, which we did a whole episode about, and we loved. The sequel is not great. 7 out of 10. Justice Society, World War II. I expected a lot from this movie. Did not fully get what I kind of expected. But it was still fun. 7 out of 10. Eternals. A lot of people hated on it. Giving it a 6 out of 10. It's not great, but I wasn't pissed, I wasn't sitting there being like, oh man, they really fucked this up. It's like, I was kind of like, it's okay. It's okay. 8 out of 10 for Peacemaker. Peacemaker was great. Horror movie called The Vigil. 6 out of 10. It was okay. It's kind of like, it was very like a Jewish horror movie. It was fun in that aspect, but it wasn't really original in a lot of its scares. So 6 out of 10. We watched the ridiculous Like Water for Chocolate. Me and my wife, that was 6 out of 10. That was stupid, but it was funny in a lot of ways. Watched the Ben Affleck movie, The Tender Bar. 7 out of 10. It's a very like, yeah, I love my uncle movie, and Ben Affleck's good at playing that uncle. You know, like you're like, okay. I did watch Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam 00 this year. 8 out of 10. This is a very good Gundam series. Is it weird towards the end? Yes. Is it good the whole time? Yes. Are the fights awesome? Yes. 8 out of 10. Definitely one of the better Gundam shows. The next up on the list was Next Level Chef, which is just Gordon Ramsay cooking show, but there's 3 levels and the kitchens get worse as you go down the levels. It was fun. It was ridiculous. I can't wait for season 2. 8 out of 10. I'm so excited for more of Gordon Ramsay bothering people on different levels. And then Mobile Suit Gundam 83 or Stardust Memory. 8 out of 10. It's basically Top Gun with Gundams. Like literally, it is like he gets a Gundam and he has to fight somebody on the other side. He's like, "Sir," and he's like, "Why you call me sir? I'm an enemy." You know, like it's fucking Top Gun with Gundam. But it's a good time. Go watch it.
Just say Top Gundam, Frank.
Mobile Suit Gundam's 00 Awakening of the Trailblazer. This is the finishing movie for Gundam 00. It's okay. It gets a little... It's like, the whole show's been sci-fi, but it almost goes too crazy because it tries to do this like alien invader fight, and it kind of goes a little far. But still 7 out of 10 because it's mostly good. It just kind of goes a little far at the end. We already had an episode on it, The Batman, 9 out of 10. A terrible horror movie we watched called The Selling, 5 out of 10. Death on the Nile, with I saw that actually in theaters, 7 out of 10. It was a good time. I couldn't remember anything about Jungle to Jungle, so we rewatched that. Super weird movie, 5 out of 10. Mm-hmm. We should have stopped Tim Allen. We should have just been like, no, we can't make movies anymore after this one. And we did not. Watch Nobody with Odin. Is it Odenkirk? It's the action movie with Better Call Saul.
Bob Odenkirk.
And that was actually fantastic. Did you see that this year?
No, I haven't.
Would recommend. It's like kind of John Wick.
Yeah, I heard it was great.
You know, like, it's great. It's a good time. Watch Jungle Cruise with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Emily Blunt. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. Literally, it rips it off. The plot twist, they rip it off from Pirates of the Caribbean. But
is it a rip off when it's another adaptation of a Disney ride?
Yeah, right. You're like, guys, they really were like, okay, so we made the Pirates of the Caribbean work. What else can we make work? And that's kind of what this is. Not great, but not bad. Like, I wouldn't be, it's like, it's not terrible, but it's not good. So 7 out of 10. Then I watched Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, which is one of my favorite Gundam shows, even though it's weird and small. It's 8 out of 10 for me. I love that the main characters are going to die. Like, I know that that's like kind of a big spoiler for the show, that they're like, oh, the main characters die. Like, I don't want to watch it if I'm investing in the main characters. And you're like, first off, shut the fuck up. They're made up people anyways. Why, like, you're like, first off, it's about the drama, you dumb shits. Like, it's like, I'm not always in an anime for the characters. Sometimes I'm there for the fucking drama. That tends to be the only
prequels that work.
Yes.
When there's an inherent tragedy, it's just like, oh, I know these fucking guys are gone, but the journey up to it where I get attached and change the future. I can't retcon it. I absolutely recommend Iron-Blooded Orphans as if you haven't watched Gundam yet, and you're looking for a Gundam show to start. It's a great one because it's only 2 seasons, very short watch. It's its own contained universe, so you don't need to watch any other Gundam. And the fights are fantastic, so it's a good time. I definitely know the opening.
Yeah, right. Next up, The French Dispatch. I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. I wasn't in love, but it was fun. Still Wes Anderson. Watched Wake Up, 7 out of 10. I would say it was a okay horror movie. It was okay. Definition of Insanity, 7 out of 10. Oh, these were 3 documentaries that I did that were at a film festival I went to that I helped run. Definition of Insanity, 7 out of 10. Autism, the sequel, 7 out of 10. And Wake Up was 7 out of 10. So they were all pretty good. I helped put on a film festival at work, and they were the 3 movies there. Then I watched Jason Statham in Wrath of Man, which it's a heist movie with the twist. It's fun. It's fun. I wouldn't be crazy about it, but 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that's kind of me with most Jason Statham things. It's like that old joke, that like Venn diagram of just like me caring about basketball, none. Me caring about basketball when the Looney Tunes are involved.
Exactly.
That's kind of me with like Jason Statham in the Crank movies.
Yes, exactly. This is kind of different than the Crank movies, but just as the action's just as good, I would say.
I would kill for a third Crank movie.
Right? Absolutely. Next up, with The Eyes of Tammy Faye. That was the one where Andrew Garfield's playing like an older guy, and you're like, I'm not really buying it. But it was a great movie. He did such a good job in it. 7.5 out of 10. Totally worth it. Watched Onward for the first time. 8 out of 10. My wife wasn't a big fan of it, but I was a bigger fan of it. I thought it was really cool.
It's got some dad stuff, isn't it? Doesn't it?
Yeah, you know me. And then I watched Persona, which is an older movie. At 9 out of 10. It was actually really great. Watched Bad Vegan, 7 out of 10. We talked about Ben-Hur. Go check out our most popular episode of all time, Ben-Hur. Somehow, I don't know why. 8 out of 10. Me and Deshaun did a whole episode on Sonic the Hedgehog 2. 6 out of 10. Go check out that episode. Watched a movie called watched the show called Worst Roommate Ever, which was actually quite good and complicated, where it was like, you're signing these people to, it was like true crime, and it was like these guys who were just like assholes once they were signed to being your roommate. It's actually worth the watch. 8 out of 10. On Netflix, they had the show Is It Cake? Which I know it's not a show for adults. That's not the point. It's a show for kids. Is It Cake? There was a whole video on YouTube being like, Netflix is purposely making bad shows. You're like, that's called children's entertainment, you dumb shit. Like, it's not purposely making a bad show. It's being like, this will have the kids watching. And Is It Cake absolutely works on kids. Every kid that I saw watch it would walk around going to random things going, is it cake? Like, to everything that they were like touching, and like, you're like, come on, that's of course. Watched a documentary called White Hot, 7 out of 10. I did watch the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. Not great. 5.5.
No, not at all.
Not great. And I'm like, why did we make 4 sequels to this? You're like, damn, guys. I mean, Freddie Prinze Jr., but like at the same time,
horror wasn't great in the late 90s and early 2000s. Not in a good place.
More horror coming up here. Watched Malignant, which I enjoyed. James Wan goes crazy with that one. But 7 out of 10. House of Secrets, 7 out of 10. Premonition, the original, like, with Liam Neeson, that's a 6 out of 10. That was rough. that was a rough one. The Deep House, which was actually really cool. It was a horror movie where the whole thing is first person as they scuba dive into a house that's underwater, and then the spooks come once they're underwater. Would recommend. 8 out of 10. It's a good horror movie. It's like, I wasn't expecting much, and it was a good time. So absolutely. We talked about Yankee Doodle Dandy, so check out that episode. 8 out of 10. One of the funniest movies I saw this year was, and it didn't come out this year, but it was Night of a Thousand Cats, or Blood Feast is its Italian name, and it was just hilarious. It was just this.
I have stuff on here that I've done as rewatches too that I listed anyway. I put the time to watch it. I put it on the list, even if I've seen it already.
Night of a Thousand Cats was so fucking funny because it was just a serial killer who would like pick up bitches in his helicopter. He'd ride around a helicopter all day, look down at girls and like point at them, and then they would like be allured to his helicopter, and then he would fucking kill them. And you're like, I don't know what to say. You shouldn't have gotten in the stranger's helicopter. I don't know what to say. You got fed to the cats. Like, and that's it. You're just like, Jesus Christ. It's a really funny movie. I did watch Code Geass, which, you know, everyone was like, you watch Gundam, you gotta watch Code Geass. It was a good time. It's not a Gundam show. And it doesn't try to be. It's like, hey, I'm not even gonna concentrate on the mechs at all, which kind of pissed me off. I'm like, hey, I'm here for the robots. Stop with this high school stuff. Like, I'm just like, but I did enjoy it still. So 7 out of 10. But
that is a big fan favorite.
Yeah, it's a big fan favorite. And he's the main writer's writing Witch from Mercury right now, and I think he's doing a great job. I can see, I like the twists that come in Code Geass. I wasn't overly in love.
That's definitely an ending that always gets brought up as like good ones.
Yes. Yeah, no, the ending was solid. Like, even if you know what's happening, it's still a great ending, you know? Like, because people have spoiled it and will spoil it. It's kind of like, you're kind of like, what the fuck? Then I watched Palm Springs, which is Groundhog's Day with Andy Serkis. Actually pretty good. 8 out of 10. Netflix has this show called Old Enough where they send little Japanese kids under 5 out to go get groceries. Well, they film them. That sounds so stupid. It's the best show on Netflix. Go watch it now. Whatever you're doing, it's not watching Old Enough, which is better than what you're doing. You could be listening to the show, and I would be okay with you pausing to go watch Old Enough. It's the cutest fucking show ever, and I fucking mean it. I'm being serious, guys. Old Enough is goated. They just put out season 2 on Netflix, and you're welcome. If you haven't watched it yet, you're fucking welcome, because it's gonna blow your fucking mind. It's so damn fucking cute. 9 out of 10. Amazing shit. We watched, Mary was listening to the book Rebecca, so I kind of heard all of Rebecca, so we were watching Rebecca adaptions, which have not been good since the original one, which wasn't that good either, you know. Like, it kind of doesn't, none of the movies do justice to the book, which is actually quite fantastic. So 6 out of 10.
I mean,
for
the original movie
newest
is
one
a
with
classic just on its own merits, but
yes,
yeah, as far as like on an adaptational standpoint, this is how I fucking feel about Frankenstein.
Yeah. But I will say that the new one with Lily James is a 6 out of 10. It's not great. It doesn't really capture everything, and it just doesn't fully bring it across. We had a Moon Knight episode, so Moon Knight 8 out of 10. We had a Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness episode, 8 out of 10. Did we do an episode for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers?
Yes, or did we?
Yeah, we did. So 7 out of 10. Moving on. The Bob's Burgers movies, which I talked about earlier, was actually really great. I really enjoyed it. It was a plus to see it with Eugene Merman, but at the same time, I thought it was just one long episode. What can I complain about? 8 out of 10. And as you can see, guys, I know we've brought up scores before, but like, when I'm saying 8 out of 10, this is like great. Like, absolutely go watch this. 9 is like, holy fuck, that's great. 10 is, oh my god, I could continue watching this forever and ever, you know, type of thing. And like 7 is like, okay, yeah, you can watch this. 6 is where it's starting to hurt. And you know, and then below it gets even more pain. Then next up was, I've watched even more Mobile Suit Gundam Endless Waltz, which is the movie. Wing and Endless Waltz. I watched Wing last year, and I didn't love Wing. I dig this movie, but still it's a 6 out of 10. It's not a very the plot is that they send their fucking suits into the sun, and then guess what? They need the fucking suits, so they have to go and get the suits from the sun, but then the action happens. So, but I was just I hate that that's the plot. They're like
seems like a better way to. How fucking durable are those suits? It feels like there'd be a more reasonable way to recycle those.
I guess not. In the Wing universe, the Gundamium is like the hardest substance ever. That's the reason why they can just take hits, you know, like, and the only way to kill them is to blow them up themselves, you know, like, and they're like, well, we could hurt the earth if we blow them all up, so they'll send them into the sun. Stupid. But whatever. Moving on.
I mean, you make me want to not watch it just because you mentioned Gundamium as an actual substance name.
Yeah, that's a common thread through a lot of Gundam. They're called Gundaniums, but like it's not a big plot point in any other show, you know, like other than in Iron Blood Orphans, they just kind of say beam weapons don't work on this Gundamium, so that way it has to be physical weapons, and that they just beat the fuck out of each other with giant maces, so like and actual big bulleted guns instead of beams, which is fun. It's a fun change. Then I started watching some of the Mobile Suit Zeta movies because I bought them on Blu-ray. Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta Hairs to the Stars. It's an okay adaptation of the first season. That's the thing about all these Zeta movies is it's one of my favorite Gundam shows, Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta, and they just like shove them into 3 movies and they really fucking shove them in there, and it feels really fast, and I don't think it works as well as it probably should. So not really worth it. Then I watched another Sunrise anime, the guys who make Gundam, Amine Warrior at the Borderline, which is, it's okay. It's like I've watched the second half now, and I watched it into this year, so it doesn't count for last year. So I watched the, you know, core 1 of the first season, or here they just call it 1 and 2, season 1 and 2. But so season 1 of it, it's good. It's fun. They kind of try to be like, what if we do Gundam, but all the politics are what the politics of real life are, you know, like, so they're like kind of trying to do like a realistic Gundam war show, which I find fun, but then they have these annoying AI characters and it's just obnoxious. Moving on. I know some of our fans are going to hate this. Fire Force, 6 out of 10. Not much there. Fights are cool, but other than that, Fire Force.
Yeah, I mean, I told you this before you watched it.
Yep.
It's the exact same issues I have with Soul Eater, which is the same creator, where it's just like, love the style, you ain't got much else.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I finished it. I was kind of like, I like this style. I like everything kind of I like the vibe going on. I don't like anything else. So, you know, where you're like, I hate these characters. Voice acting's kind of bad. You know, like you're kind of like, We have a whole episode on the next one, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I agree with the Golden Globes finally that it should win all these awards. Like it should have won Best Picture. I don't know how. I feel like Steven Spielberg, they were just like sucking Steven Spielberg off for the Fabelmans winning at the end there, because I felt like they were really leading up to Everything Everywhere All at Once winning everything, and then they were kind of just like Fabelmans because we love Spielberg, and you're like, I do too, but like, come on, man. Like, there's just no way it's better than Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm just saying. I
mean,
like,
it seems good, but it also seems like I've seen the Fabelmans already just piecemeal with all his other stuff.
Exactly. Then I saw Jurassic World Dominion. At the time, I gave it a 7. Thinking back on it, I want to give it like a 6 or a 6.5. It's not great. It's fun. It's fun. It's not great. It's not great.
I still haven't watched it yet. A friend who knows I hated fucking Fallen Kingdom is just like, dude, it's even worse than Fallen Kingdom. I'm like, I'm good.
It's not as upsetting as Fallen Kingdom. Like, you're not sitting there being like, what the fuck? But you are. It's like it's still the same vein of like, why are we spending time on that shit? You know, where you're just like, can we move on to other things? But they do have a raptor chase through Italy. So, I mean, that's why this movie's better than Fallen Kingdom. Moving on, though. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Did we do an episode on Obi-Wan Kenobi? I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
7.5. The Haunting. 5 out of 10. Not great. Mobile Suit Gundam.
The John DeBont one.
Not great.
Not good. You gotta watch the original black and white one.
Yeah, right. I keep wanting to move backwards on the Haunting. I'm like, ooh, we're moving back. Then Mobile Suit Gundam Kukukuru's Dohan's Island, which is the newest Gundam movie that came out, and I saw it in theaters. Totally worth it. Absolutely worth it. So great. Love that. 8 out of 10. It's just like a kind of side story in the middle of the original Gundam show, and it's a great movie. Somehow they took an episode and somehow expanded it into a whole movie, and it worked. I'm like, I love you, Mobile Suit Gundam. That's fucking incredible. Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta Gundam 2, Lovers in Space Time, 7 out of 10. It was okay, but again, shoved together. Watch the original Popeye with Robin Williams. What the fuck were they thinking? What the fuck were they thinking? But at the same time, you're like, wow, they really, like, the thing you gotta, like, even though I'm giving this a 5 out of 10, you gotta admire that they, like, literally took comics of Popeye and, like, translated to screen, like, unashamedly, you know, like, just, like, straight up translation, and I'll give it that. You know, like, then I watched on Shudder Mad God, which was absolutely insane. It's just like stop motion project that's been in progress for like 30 years or something like that. Insane. But it's still 7 out of 10 because none of it makes any sense, but visually it's amazing. I watched a documentary called World's Biggest Tiger Shark, 5 out of 10. Great. Watched something called The Deep End. The Deep End. What was that? I don't know. It was 8 out of 10 for me, and I can't remember why it was an 8 out of 10 for me.
I guess it wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good, I guess. Blade Runner, The Final Cut. We have a whole episode on it. Check it out. 7 out of 10. I actually watched Neon Genesis Evangelion, or Evangelion, whatever you want to call Evangelion. Whatever you want to. I watched the original show. I'm a big fan of the original show. I like the movies, which we'll talk about in a second. But the original show is just fantastic. I have
I still haven't
now,
watched the rebuild movies yet.
I would recommend them. They are fun, and it's kind of like it goes its own direction, so you can kind of be like, yeah, you know, he just unified humanity and then restarted, and this is the other way he went with it, you know, like, which is kind of a great way to explain it, but also means we'll probably get Evangelion movies till the day we die, you know, like, because they might just keep remaking it. Who knows? But 9 out of 10 for that. Thor Love and Thunder, we have a whole episode on it. 7 out of 10. Evangelion Death. Yeah, right. I was being kind to it. Because I walked out having a good time, but it's not a very good one, you know, like, it's like it's like sometimes you have to give it flavor for being like, I felt entertained, you know, like it actually did something for me, you know, like, but yeah, not fantastic. Evangelion Death, True 2, which is just the end of the actual show, but in the way that they were summing it up to music. It's kind of a Evangelion music video. 5 out of 10. It was weird. So strange.
I told you to skip all the ones. I gave you the ones to watch.
I know, but I was like, I gotta watch it. Yeah, I was like, I gotta. It's on Netflix. Like, I gotta.
Just OG and End of Evangelion. That's it.
And then between the End of Evangelion and that, I did watch Stranger Things. 9 out of 10. I had a great time with the newest season.
Best season so far.
Yeah, it's great. I agree. Best season so far. Other than the first season. The first season's great, but maybe I give it more points because they're just so freaking cute. But I think this season was the most is able to work the hardest to get your.
I prefer this season the most because this one is the one that's really felt like it's found its own identity beyond just homaging the shit from the 80s we all love.
Yes, absolutely. So here's a lot of Evangelion right now. I watched the End of Evangelion, which I actually did like 8 out of 10. I like that it's all a thing about like creating and how we are creative. Like, I really like that about Evangelion. I think that that's really cool. It's like a huge meditation on creation and how we create art and what that means for life. You know, like, I think that that's actually really cool. But then I watched 1.11. You are not alone.
The first rebuild movie.
It's fun because they're remaking the first couple episodes. 7.5 out of 10. It's like I almost forgive it for just updating the graphics of the original episodes, even though it doesn't really change anything. Then Evangelion 2.2, yeah, right. 2.22, you can not advance. I'm gonna give this one 7.5 because this is where it starts to branch off from the original story. Is at the end of 2 where they start to be like, okay, Now let's start to do original stuff. So I enjoyed that. Then you have Evangelion 3.33. You cannot redo. I really like this because it was new. Everything was new. 8 out of 10. I thought that was really cool. Like it was just like another Evangelion story. Even though I will say it's about 2 hours of Shenji being gay. You know, like I have no problem with him being gay, but it is kind of like 2 hours of Shinji being like, "Am I gay?" Like, and you're like, yes, you are. Like,
and I mean, I suppose that's better than like the rushed sort of subplot they did in the original series.
Yeah, I know, but it's like they really lean into it. But I did enjoy it. And then the newest movie, which came out this year, came out in theaters, but I watched it on Amazon when it came out. Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.01, Thrice Upon a Time. This might be the best of the Evangelion movies. It's a lot of fun. The battles are fantastic. The budget is astronomical animation-wise. Totally worth
That's the last one, right?
Yep, that's the newest one. Absolutely worth it.
I would hope, given how long it took. That's why I didn't watch the
Yeah.
rebuild movies, because at the time I had finally watched the original. It was before they even put it on Netflix. I watched it all end of,
Nice.
and was just like, okay, they were supposed to end this years ago, and this fucking final movie, quote unquote, hasn't come out in like 10 years, so I'll just wait for that. But then they finally did it, and I just haven't gotten around to it.
Totally, I would say it was. I don't know if it's worth the wait because I watched them all in a row, so I don't really have that perspective. But I thought it was a good watch. Would recommend. I have a Mari statue that I have hidden underneath my shelf. Don't tell my wife. And I have her underneath there. Sorry. It's like everyone's Ahsoka or Rey, and I saw Mari with the glasses, and I was like, Chef's Kiss, thank you. You have made a waifu for me. I'm like, thank you very much. What's the director's name again? For Evangelion? It's I'm forgetting.
The name's escaping me right now.
It's escaping me. But I did watch Gunbuster recently, which was his first kind of like movie / project, and fantastic too. But that's not on this list. I watched Old by M. Night Shyamalan. It's a Twilight Zone episode, 6 out of 10. I finished up the Zeta Gundam movies. Love is the Pulse of the Stars. This was almost disappointing, but I still had a good time with it. 7 out of 10 because of the new animations. They're really cool. This documentary called The Way Down, God, Greed, and the Cult of Gwen Shablin was actually really great on HBO. 8 out of 10. I was being really kind to Lightyear here. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I still kind of stand by that. It's okay. It's mid. I would say Lightyear is mid, which, you know,
my favorite term.
Rough. Do the Right Thing. We did a whole episode on it. 9 out of 10. Prey is one of my favorite movies of the year, even though I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. It's still one of my favorites of this year. Awesome stuff. A movie called Bubble. I forget. 8 out of 10. Modest Heroes.
Bubble was the anime, though.
Right. Sorry. I was doing a bunch of anime movies right here. Bubble and Modest Heroes were anime movies. They were all good. Belle was also an anime. 8 out of 10. Another anime movie, Fireworks, which was kind of like the No Name producers. No, not No Name. Your Name producers. It wasn't that good. 6 out of 10. Gaslight, the original movie where they invented the term gaslight. Actually a good time. 8 out of 10. But the movie doesn't exist, so you're crazy for thinking it does.
That should have been the slogan.
Right? Justice League versus the Fatal Five. I finally actually watched it. 7 out of 10. It's okay.
Not bad. It's not the full reunion you want.
Yes, exactly.
And now that Kevin Conroy's gone, we'll never really have it now.
I watched the crazy Japanese movie House. You've probably seen the poster before where it's like dead finger touching a doorbell. Actually fantastic. So ridiculous. 8 out of 10. Super surprising. Orphan First Kill was actually decent. 7 out of 10. I didn't expect a prequel to The Orphan 10 years later to actually be pretty good, and it was pretty good. Then I watched. This was all Paramount Plus stuff right here. Paranormal Activity: Next of Kin, which is like Paranormal Activity 6 or something like that. Okay, I gave it a 6 out of 10, but I still think about the movie often. You ever have that where you're like, that's a bad movie, but then like 2 months later, you're like still thinking about the weird Amish first person Paranormal Activity, and you're like,
Yeah.
that was pretty good, like in a bad way, like kind of schlocky, but you were already gonna watch the 6 Paranormal Activity. You were kind of, my expectations were like here, so for it to be anything, I was like, Instant Dream House, which is a Netflix show where they literally remodel people's houses in a day, and they plan for months and then remodel in a day. Pretty good, actually. We did a whole episode on Dragon Ball Superhero, 8 out of 10. Check out the episode. Watch The Lost City, 6 out of 10, not great. Watch a documentary called Inside the Mind of a Cat, 8 out of 10. Watched a horror movie called His House, which was it was pretty good, 7 out of 10, not great. Watched Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny, 5 out of 10. Destiny's a lot rougher than Seed, but it does have some great fights, so I'm not fully shitting on it, but it is bad. The Manor, another horror movie, 6 out of 10, not great. A horror movie called Spell, another 6 out of 10, because it was okay, but it kind of just didn't ramp up enough. It was kind of like a Misery, but with voodoo, which I kind of dug, but not great. Before I Wake, which I think I listed before. Weird. But 6 out of 10. We watched Nope. We do a whole episode on it, 8 out of 10. Barbarian, which might be my one of my favorite horror movies of this year, 8 out of 10. Just fantastic. So good.
Yeah, I plan on watching that and The Menu this weekend.
Oh, yes. Good double feature. Menu's coming up on this list. I saw it in theaters. Halloween Ends, something else I saw in theaters. 6 out of 10. I constantly think about how that guy just runs up and just beats the fuck out of Michael Myers to take his mask. I don't know why, Deshaun. That's so insulting to me. It's like, I get what they were trying to show, that like Mike Myers is like sad and he thinks he's made a friend, and like this guy just kind of like uses him, and Mike Myers wasn't really like trying to kill him there, so it was like kind of one of those things. But you're still like, that man just ran up to Mike Myers and beat the fuck out of him and stole something from him and ran away. Are you fucking with me? Like, are you I know he's supposed to be an old man, but holy shit, like what the fuck was that? Then for Halloween, I watched Werewolf by Night, the Marvel one, 7 out of 10. It could have gone further. It's fun. I want more. I think that this was Michael, the composer, Michael
Giacchino.
It was his directing debut. I think he did a great job. God Forbid, another documentary, 6 out of 10. Another horror movie called Run, 6 out of 10, not great. Watched Antlers, 7 out of 10. The design is fantastic. That's what carries that shit. Actually, finally, I already watched Halloween Ends, and I finally watched Halloween 2018. That's a 7.5 for me. That's a good time.
It's solid. And then the other two fucking suck.
I mean, I had a good time with Halloween Kills, but just
Kills
because
sucks.
it's kind of a massacre. Ends is worse somehow. I was like, it is worse somehow. Now, Downton Abbey, the new movie, A New Era, 7 out of 10. It's fun, but it's very, very much a Downton Abbey movie. I don't know. It's not crazy, but it is the send-off for Maggie Smith, so it has some emotional weight. I like that. A show called I Dated a Psycho, which was absolutely crazy, but still a bad show, so 6 out of 10. Here comes a lot of Demon Slayer. I watched Demon Slayer season 1, 7 out of 10. I had to watch Demon Slayer, guys. I had to. I saw so much merch at every store. Box Lunch, Newberry Comics, fucking Spencer's, fucking Hot Topic. All these stores are just littered with Demon Slayer. And I'm like, what the fuck is this show? And I realize now that watching it, it's not made for me. It's a show for younger kids and of the female or attracted to men variety. I don't think I think that's what this show is that it's kind of like an Inuyasha for this generation. Inuyasha for this generation in a lot of ways, but without the weird, complicated love interest relationship there. I actually do enjoy that there's no like straight up love interest in this show. I was kind of like, okay, thank God. And I think the action is actually slapping in this show, so I do give it there. But there's not much to
that
it.
I would argue is really the appeal. It's
Yeah.
UFO Table taking what is essentially a very middle of the road manga and just fucking pumping some great Sakuga in it, so everyone's drooling about it.
And it's beautiful. At a lot of times you're like, holy shit, that was it. Like where stuff where it was beautiful in Fire Force, but then like the next second pissed me off. At least like they would keep it going with the fights for Demon Slayer, where I'd be like, wow, that was amazing, and it would like keep going, and you'd be like, wow, that's fucking incredible. It keeps going. Like, what the fuck? It's a different reaction than Fire Force. But it's 7 out of 10. I watched Mugen Train though right afterward. That's an 8 out of 10 for me though. I actually really enjoyed Mugen Train. I thought it actually had some emotional weight, and I thought it moved, which I know you disagree with. And you felt like it ran really slow, but
Rob and I were bored out of our goddamn mind.
I liked it. I had a good time. The Menu, which you brought up earlier, 7.5 out of 10 for me. It's a good time. Watch the HBO documentary Killer Sally, an interesting one, 8 out of 10. Another HBO documentary, Where is Private Delaney? 7 out of 10. It's pretty good. It's quite interesting. Worth talking about, but not exactly a good documentary, so 7 out of 10. Don't Worry, Darling, the Olivia Wilde directorial debut.
Not directorial debut.
No? I thought
she directed Booksmart.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Don't Worry, Darling. It's Stepford Wives in the new generation is basically it. 6 out of 10. It's not great, but it has some visual style, which you'll give it to it. The Enfield Haunting, 7 out of 10. It's a good little horror thingy. Clerks 3, we already talked about it, 8 out of 10. Tiny House Hunting. My wife was watching way too much of this Canadian show, Tiny House Hunting, 6 out of 10. Watched Emily the Criminal, 7 out of 10. Not gonna blow you away, but it was a good time. White Lotus season 2. Yes, I did start on season 2 because Audrey Plaza was in it, and that's why we watched it first. I actually really enjoyed watching season 2 to season 1. We did watch the last thing I watched this year was finishing up White Lotus season 1 before the year ended out. And I do like season 2 more. But I think both are absolutely fantastic. So White Lotus season 2, 9 out of 10 though for me. That was, I don't know, it was gripped. I loved it. Then Demon Slayer Entertainment District arc. I counted as a different thing because it on Crunchyroll they counted as a different season. So I'm gonna count it as a different thing. 8 out of 10. I enjoyed that how long of a fight this was. Just a fight season and it was fucking epic. Really enjoyed that. I thought that was the best Demon Slayer's been. I was like, I like Mugen Train, but I felt Entertainment District really amps it up, which was what I was worried about. I was like, they can't keep up this pacing from Mugen Train. How are they going to keep this up? And they did. Then The Night House, which was very okay, 6 out of 10. Some stand-up comedy, Taylor Tomlinson. I don't know if you've seen her before. She's got 2 specials on Netflix. She's actually great. Love her. 8 out of 10. Watch a documentary called Bam Margera, Jackass Skating and the Dark Side of Fame on Vice. Pretty good, actually. 8 out of 10. Surprise of the year. I saw the trailers for Smile, and I immediately was like, this is... Why are we doing this teen movie? What is this bullshit? You know, now that I've watched it, one of the best horror movies of this year, actually, like good stiff, has one of the best jump scares I've ever fucking seen. It really got me, even though I knew it was coming because I read the article being like, there's a really good jump scare in this movie. And then I saw it and I was like, wow, that actually worked really well. And then watched a horror movie called Abandoned, which was absolutely awful. 4 out of 10. White Christmas, which it's not. Holiday Inn is racist, but White Christmas has the has the audacity to be a terrible plot where they're like, oh, I misunderstood you. So that's the plot driven, is me misunderstanding you, which I hate. I hate plots that revolve around people just misunderstanding each other. Fuck that shit. No. Nope. No. 4 out of 10. Fuck that. We talked about Gremlins. 7 out of 10. I did watch A Christmas Story Christmas, which was actually really surprising. 8 out of 10. It actually had some emotional weight and didn't just like retread the first movie. Totally worth it. Actually worth the watch. We haven't done an episode on it yet, but we probably will. The Whale. 10 out of 10 for me. Me and Deshaun saw it together. It was absolutely fantastic. For me, it's Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Whale as the best movies that I saw this year that came out this year. They're incredible. I was literally blown away. The Whale emotionally destroyed me, and I still think about the movie often. Sticks with you. Absolutely worth the watch. I know it's not much. It's hard to sell the movie because you're like, it's an obese man who's trying to reconnect with his daughter. And you're like, how do I sell that?
There is a controversy surrounding it just because of the subject matter in general, which I know is mostly from people who haven't actually watched it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need to watch it. Don't fucking speak down on it. Like, you gotta see this.
It's just one of those things where, like, any movie would have had this, no matter what the actual context was. You talk about that subject matter, people were going to get upset.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe we'll do an episode on that because I feel really strongly about The Whale. And it's like, if he doesn't win anything, if he doesn't get a nomination at the Oscars, I'm fucking not watching the Oscars is all I'm saying. Cause he deserves it for that role. And then we watched, a French film called The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which is like, you know, a lot of people are like, they try to be unique. They say that their favorite movie is The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. It's actually pretty good. So I'll give it to him there. It's a French musical that's more of an opera because it never talks. It just sings the whole time. So it's this big French opera love musical, and it's I really enjoyed it. Actually, it's pretty good. Then we watched Anna Karenina, which was pretty good actually. 7 out of 10. Not fantastic, but you know, it was cool aesthetic that it was like trying to be. I
assume the Keira Knightley one.
Yes. Yep. It was. Absolutely. My wife had read the book and I had listened to half of Anna Karenina, so it was like we had this connection to it, and it was good, but it was it wasn't fantastic, but it was good. The White Lotus season 1 though was the last thing I watched at 151 titles. Sorry guys, this is so long, and it was great. So that's all the things I watched and this year. Right there. Sorry that took so fucking long. Deshaun. Now
so mine's
I know your
separated
list.
into categories.
Okay.
And I'll breeze through, obviously, because I also put rewatches on here. Not if I do it more than once. But it's like if I sat down, like the first one on here is The Last Jedi. I just felt like sitting down and watching The Last Jedi again.
Yeah.
Sue me. So Last Jedi, I watched The Martian again because I had like finally read the book.
Nice.
So I made me want to watch the movie again. Dr. Sleep, I watched again. I
think you don't have ratings
doing the episode
for these guys, right? You don't have ratings.
No, I don't have the ratings.
Okay, that's okay. I was just hitting them all with ratings, so I just want
watching Dr. Sleep again. I think because we did the episode on it.
Yep.
Licorice Pizza. Nice. Saw that at the Coolidge. Paul Thomas Anderson's newest movie. Very good, very sweet.
I did want to see that. But it's a hard sell to try to get Mary to go to see in theaters. I was like, come on, or even put it on. I was like, it's a coming of age story. She's like, yeah, and I'm like, no, it's supposed to be good. I'm serious. Like,
this is why I can't get you to watch anything for the show.
Yes, yes.
Sell it. Nightmare Alley.
Nice.
Yeah. Not Del Toro's latest because Pinocchio's out now, but one of his latest. Very good. I actually also listened to the audiobook because I know there's like 2 different versions. There's like a classic old Fox version. There's the newest one, and there's the book. So I got to kind of compare all of them. And I think I'd probably like this newest one the most. It's a little more, it's just bleaker, which the book is pretty fucking bleak. So keep the bleak.
I like that.
Of course, the old one kind of like irons that a little of that away. Let's see. Drive My Car, I saw.
Nice.
Solid. The two South Park specials slash movies, South Park post-COVID and post-COVID, The Return of COVID.
Nice. It's so funny.
Super fucking funny. Takes place in the future where the entire crew is all grown up. Because
Really?
the idea is that like they're finally in the post-COVID world, they've become adults.
Oh no! After so many years,
it turns into like a murder mystery slash like sci-fi conspiracy about COVID surrounding like the death of Kenny as an adult. It's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. What the fuck?
Like Cartman's converted to Judaism.
Oh my god! Of course they did.
Jesus Christ. So ridiculous. It's so fucking funny. Let's see. Last Night in Soho was a rewatch, probably also for the episode since that's actually a 2021 movie.
Yep.
But you took forever.
Took forever.
I watched Clerk, the documentary about Kevin Smith.
Nice.
That was solid. The Batman, we've talked enough about the Batman.
Yes, we've talked enough about that. I love it.
Frankenhooker, because we were talking about Frank Hedenlotter. Since there's a Last Drive-In episode about it. We watched Baby Driver again. I watched The King's Man, the Kingsman prequel.
Yeah.
Not bad. As someone who did not like The Golden Circle, because it very much Men in Black 2'd itself.
Yep.
The King's Man was much more my speed. It's not perfect, but it's a good time. And Ray Fiennes is actually amazing in it. Like, this is such like a silly, like, spy, espionage, Matthew Vaughn movie. It's so irreverent and fucking weird. But Ralph Fiennes is fucking treating this like it's a wartime drama. And
you're gonna love The Menu. I have a good feeling you're gonna love him in The Menu. He's so good in it.
Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which is the prequel film.
Yeah, somebody was trying to tell me I should watch that first. And I was like, I'm not going to watch that first. That's not what came out first. Why the fuck would I not watch the show and then go back?
You know, like spin-off manga.
Yeah, I know. I saw it in the store.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Zero. It's one book. I was like, okay, that makes sense. They made a movie out of it. But like, somebody was trying to tell me that I could watch Zero before I actually watched the show. And I was like, no.
Zero assumes you've seen the show. So you're going to be like, who the fuck are these people?
Exactly. I was kind of like, this doesn't seem like an introduction thing.
People don't know how to pitch things.
I know.
All the time. God. I hear just conversations in my fucking lounge at work of like people trying to get people into movies they've seen. They just don't know how to deliver. They don't know how to actually pitch it to people.
You're like, you liked it. Tell us why you liked it. you're like, God damn.
Yeah. Let's see. After that, saw House of the Devil. There's another Last Drive-In movie just because X was coming out. That's another Ty West film. So I watched it again in preparation to go see X. Nice. And then X was the very next thing I saw. Loved X. We'll talk about it later because it's in my favorites.
Cool.
Rewatch the Before trilogy again because you got to do what you got to do.
Gotta do it.
Galaxy Quest because I bought the Blu-ray for it finally, so I rewatched it.
That's awesome. That is such an underrated movie a lot of the time.
Oh, it's great.
Holy fuck.
I was just talking about it yesterday because I was talking to a friend. I showed you our conversation about Star Trek. I had to ask him, like, yeah, but have you seen Galaxy Quest, though?
It's true. It's so true.
Tony Hawk Until the Wheels Fall Off. That's a new HBO documentary about Tony Hawk and like the skating scene throughout the decades. Really good.
Nice.
Ben-Hur, already talked about it.
That's funny that you watched the Tony Hawk one and I watched the Bam Margera one. I'm like, what's that say? I was like, wait a minute. Go ahead.
Ben-Hur, Toy Story, we did the episodes on them.
Nice.
Sonic 2, etc. Booksmart has become like sort of a new favorite for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a good movie. I like that it has like all the trappings of like your traditional, like irreverent, like teen comedy, but it kind of turns it on its head because it makes the people characters, not archetypes, and it just makes it so much better. Just like, wow, who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
We make these actual people.
Totally worth it.
I watched The Climb, which is like this very like low-key conversational piece. It's about like two friends throughout the years. They're like complicated relationship. It's very much like kind of a slow paced like buddy movie.
Nice.
I've like seen, I think I saw the trailer for it when I went to go see something at the Coolidge. I'm like, that seems right up my alley. Mostly dialogue, interpersonal shit.
You're like, I'll take that.
One Cut of the Dead, really good Korean horror film / comedy.
Oh,
It's hard to describe because there's a big twist for it early on, and it's best to go in blind
okay. Okay.
because it unravels itself very early.
Okay, cool.
Black Roses, which was the last drive-in episode, is basically about like rock band that are like Satanists turn it into a horror movie. It was definitely a movie of the time.
Yes, of the Satan Panic. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
there it is.
pretty much. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Saw it in
Nice.
theaters at the Coolidge. It was
See the
great. We had no
episode.
episode about it. Yep. Multiverse of Madness, same thing.
Nice.
Black
Yep.
Sunday, another last drive-in because I hadn't seen
Which
Black
did you
Sunday
see?
in a while.
I mean, just to bring up Multiverse of Madness, did you see the concept art of Steven in a desert full of dead Stevens? Like,
Yeah, I did.
showing off
I
the
did,
other
yeah.
day, and I was like, Sam, where the fuck was that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, that's dope.
That's
as shit.
always
What
the
fuck?
case with concept art. Like, for whatever reason, they had to cut it for time or for whatever other variable, but you're always just like, yeah, but it cool.
You're like, that was sick as fuck.
I don't care
though.
if
What
it
the fuck?
doesn't fit. But we can
You're like-
find a way to like get that in there.
What makes me happy about that is that it shows that Sam Raimi even wanted to go further on the horror, and
Yeah.
Marvel was kind of like,
Stop.
stop it.
Let's see, One Piece episode of East Blue, which is just a recap movie of like the first couple of like mini arcs, which normally I fucking despise any sort of like recap / retelling movies. But
Yeah.
because we're just reading the manga and we don't want to watch the full anime, it's actually perfect for us.
That's so funny.
Death by
But
Temptation.
was it good? Did you like it? You liked it? You were
was
saying
alright.
you didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, it wasn't
but-
bad.
Okay.
You know, it obviously has to condense a lot for the
Yeah.
runtime, but it's just like it works.
It works.
Death by Temptation's another like silly horror movie. That was
Nice.
part of the last drive-in. Pretty good time. The Green Knight.
No,
I
nice.
rewatched it because I watched it with my mom.
Nice.
Really good. You should watch it. It's like the only good Arthurian myth movie. Maybe.
Ooh.
It's really fucking good. Because how many bad Arthurian myth movies do we have?
Lots of them. Too many.
Yeah.
You're like,
So,
I get it. You guys want
When
to
a
make
good one
this,
comes by,
but-
maybe support it.
All right.
Men, which
Nice.
was
You were
Alex
saying
Garland's
that's
latest
your
film.
favorite of horror movies for this year, right? That's what you
No,
were
it isn't.
No, but it's up
No.
there.
But it's one that perplexes me. It's not like the thing that you had said where like it's bad, but I remember it. It's like I don't think it's bad. I'm just not quite sure what he's getting at. But I cannot forget it because there is some fucked up shit in this movie.
Damn.
Like people want to talk about like body horror. We even had David Cronenberg finally do a body horror movie again, and it didn't like stick in my fucking craw as much as some of the shit in Men.
Okay. All right. I'll have to check it out.
Little Girl That Lives Down the Lane. It's like an old Jodie Foster movie that was also a last drive-in
nice.
episode. It's like
Yep.
a weird thriller. Rewatch Steve Jobs because I always love watching Steve
Yep.
Jobs.
You do. Got an episode on
The
it. Go check
World's
it out.
End, Crimes of the Future. That was the David Cronenberg film.
Yeah. How was
Good time. It's it's kind of funny because almost the entire film is predicated on microplastics.
You got to get your microplastics in.
So
Like-
it's the idea that like we maybe will evolve to only eat like plastics,
what?
but also body horror has become a form of art and sex. It's a weird fucking movie, but it is very Cronenberg.
Okay.
Like if you know his other shit like Videodrome and the like, then
Yes.
you're like, yeah, I'm prepared.
Okay. Very much that. All right. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Double feature of Nosferatu, the original and the Werner Herzog one because that was also a
nice.
last drive-in thing. We did
Cool.
Yankee Doodle Dandy, The Brain and Brain Damage because I did the Joe Bob thing.
Nice.
Blade Runner because we did the episode Love and Thunder, Do the Right Thing. I did watch the documentary The Orange Years, the Nickelodeon story.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was about like the formation of it as a network and how big it got, then how it kind of like petered down.
Yeah. Yup. Not the same as it used to be.
Nope. Oh, that's funny. The next episode, next one is nope on here.
Was what?
That was unintentional. I said nope as in I was agreeing with
Yeah.
you, but nope was actually the next one on the list.
Nice. There you go. Nice. Nope.
South
Nope.
Park: The Streaming Wars, Part 1 and 2.
Nice.
Really funny. Rewatch Gone Girl because I finally got it physically.
Oh,
Prey,
nice.
we've talked about. Dodgeball because I finally own it physically, and I've always loved that movie.
I love that movie. Dodgeball is so fucking funny.
Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 because I just got the 4K Blu-rays of them. That's why you have my original Blu-ray for the first one now.
Which we rewatched during the Christmas break, and it's a great copy. It just reminds me I don't like Chucky. I'm like, I hate you, you stupid fucking dog. I hate you so much. It's not that I hate the movie. I like the movie. I hate you, Chucky. Fuck you. I know.
That means
like
it's working. It was an effective piece.
It is. It's childhood trauma, but it also is. Yeah, it's.
And plus,
it's
the first movie is the best one.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
So 1, 2, and 3. The first couple of One Piece movies, as in like One Piece the movie, Adventures on Clockwork Island, and Chopper's Kingdom. First 3, pretty mediocre. I know they said like the movies only start to like pick up like 4 on because the first 3 are like 40 minutes. They're like the old Dragon Ball Z movies where like
okay,
they barely
so they're not that long
as movies. They're basically long episodes.
Oh, okay, that's good at least. You know, like because I was gonna say, damn,
like 40 minutes.
Takes
a pop.
4 fucking movies. Yeah,
yeah,
like 4 movies in. You know, like that's so
yeah.
One
They're so
Piece
short.
to be
That's
like
it's just like bam, bam, we're done. You can watch the first 3 movies in one sitting and feel like you've watched one like 90-minute film.
Nice.
I had a random urge to watch Mean Girls again because it was on Netflix. Still fucking holds up.
Yeah,
it still holds up.
Tina Fey really did a great job writing that movie. I feel like that movie still does. It works great. You know, like every time.
Mm-hmm. Dragon Ball Superhero because I had seen it in theaters. I watched the documentary. I watched the documentary Class Action Park, which was really interesting.
Oh yeah, the one about the Jersey Park. That's so fucking funny, dude.
I'd always heard stories about it. So when I saw that there's the documentary, I'm like, let me watch this. I'm like, oh, that is fucking unabashed hubris and chaos. It is. It's a good watch.
I know about Action Park because of Defunct Land. I watch a lot of Defunct Land on YouTube. I wish he would come back with more shit. I love Defunct Land. And his Action Park one is actually fantastic. So I would recommend that too. I'm sure this documentary is good, but his Defunct Land on it is actually really good too.
Give the documentary a shot since it'll actually have like interviews from people who used to go there and work there and stuff.
Nice.
Clerks 3, Pearl.
No, oh, nice. Yeah, X and Pearl.
Last Picture Show, which we're supposed to be doing for the next AFI list. I already watched it way ahead of time.
I bought it. It's in my Google library. I just haven't done it yet because I'm a piece of shit.
And then the next like bunch are definitely going to be from the marathon of like movies with Alex for October. So the stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like almost like I peter out at the end of the year, and you fucking with October, just like ramp.
Yep. So rapid fire, the stuff, Ooh. Christine, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Basket Case, Cujo, Casper, The Lighthouse, Return of the Living Dead, Chud, The Wicker Man, the original, Tusk, Videodrome, Repo the Genetic Opera, Pet Sematary, the original, Audition. Nice. Parents, Absentia, #Alive, 1408, Anaconda, which was
it's hilarious.
It's so exquisitely
it's so bad. It's so bad. I love it so much.
It's so good bad though.
I know that they reference twice Ice Cube songs while he's in the fucking movie.
It's looking like a good day.
You're like, oh my god. Crazy
Hellraiser 2022, which was surprisingly good.
Really? Oh,
it wasn't great. But it was very inventive and creative.
Okay.
Yeah, they really lean into like the puzzle box gimmick.
Nice.
Like just alone, the fact that the puzzle box in the original movies is called the Lament Configuration. What they do with the remake is they're like, well, remake/reboot is they're like, oh, it's called the Lament Configuration because that's just one of the configurations that it can have.
Oh. That's cool. I dig that.
So they do really creative things with it.
That's fun.
Lair of the White Worm, the original Creep Show I did as a group watch with people because a lot of people hadn't seen it. That's a good group watch movie.
Nice.
Mad God, which you had already talked about.
Great.
I was catching some friends up on the MCU, so we did like a double feature of like Far From Home and No Way Home
Oh, nice.
because they hadn't seen anything like post Endgame.
Which is they're trying to watch all three of these Spider-Man movies in a row is so weird of the MCU because they assume you know so much going into
Yeah,
each one.
that's the ongoing complaint with most like MCU stuff is that it's not just watching standalone movies anymore. Everything has baggage now.
Which is the problem that comics have had forever. And that's the thing, though, is that people love that. They kind of love that. Like, you got to know, you got to been reading for 40 years. And now it's going to be like, you got to been watching
because it makes
years.
you feel more exclusive. Like, I put the work in. I'm better than you.
Exactly. And that's why I think Disney's the perfect guys to do this because they're going to create these like lifelong fans who will forever watch Marvel forever. You know, like,
exactly.
And you're just like, all right, that's what they were there to do.
Black Adam, which I watched, didn't go see it in theaters, thankfully.
I only watched the first 20 minutes.
It's not.
And it was rough.
It's mediocre as hell. It's not great. If you're a big fan, if you're a huge fan of Dr. Fate like I am, Dr. Fate, they did Dr. Fate justice. Dr. Fate's the best thing about this fucking movie. Everything about the JSA is really good. It just makes me want a JSA movie. Why does Black Adam have to be here for The Rock's vanity project?
Exactly. Exactly what that is. Yeah, scary stuff.
And then after that, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is one of my favorites of the year. It's so fucking good.
Nice. I'm excited by it. We are gonna watch it. I promise. I promise.
Better. Pennywise, the story of it, which is a documentary about the making of the original miniseries with Tim Curry.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that was interesting. Then I watched the HBO documentary Spielberg.
Oh, cool. So that's the Fablemans. That's what that is, right?
Essentially. I've already watched the Fablemans. I already saw it.
Oh, man. It's too funny.
It just had interviews in it for some reason. And then the last two movies of the year before the year was out was Glass Onion and The Whale.
Nice. I mean, two great ones to end the year on. Jeez.
Yeah. And then moving on to TV, which I have a separated of like TV and then like anime has its own little subcategory. Behind the Monsters is a Shudder mini series about like different like horror icons and how they were conceptualized. I was just finishing up Seinfeld at like the start of this year. So it's like Seinfeld season 8 is on there. Seinfeld's good. Once Larry David left, it petered out a little bit, but it was still solid. The finale, there's a reason the finale is infamous. The idea is great. The tone is wrong.
Yeah.
The idea that they all get put on trial for being terrible fucking people this entire show is actually hilarious, but you played it too straight.
Yeah. Sounds right. I've never seen it, but because I've heard bad things.
Yeah. And then right after that, Mando season 1 and 2, because I was doing a rewatch for someone who hadn't seen them yet.
Nice.
Then I finished Seinfeld. Then I went through like all of Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is so good. It's so fucking funny.
Nice. I haven't seen it yet. It looked great.
It's so funny because it's HBO, so it's just allowed to be so full adult. It's like a George spinoff you never got, except it's actually just Larry David playing himself. Because nice. George was just based on Larry David.
Yeah, you could tell almost immediately. You're like,
there's also a great season where the entire season is about them making a Seinfeld reunion.
Really? That's funny.
So it's basically the Seinfeld reunion, but it's better because it's an entire season dedicated to it.
That's actually really funny. That's cool.
So when people ask for Seinfeld reunion, like it's there, it's just a Curb Your Enthusiasm season.
That's funny. I love that.
Let's see, Bad Batch season 1 because I'd gone through it with a friend.
I'm excited for 2.
I watched all of Clone Wars and Rebels with my mom, so I like went through that again.
Holy shit.
Watched The Queen's Gambit again, which is so fucking good. That's another one I've been telling you to watch.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but it did look good. It did look good. I mean, I love Anna Taylor-Johnson. She's great.
Yeah. Anya Taylor-Joy.
Sorry.
You combined Anya Taylor-Joy and Aaron Taylor-Johnson into one person.
I did.
Yeah, but it's also an adaptation of a book that's from the same author who wrote The Hustler.
Oh, that's cool. I dig that.
And Power of Money, which you still need to watch.
Yeah, I got it. I know. It's there.
Let's see, all Curvy through the Rebels. Went through both seasons of Ted Lasso again because I got someone else into it. What We Do in the Shadows season 3. I've also seen season 4.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah, I didn't finish the season 4. I started it though, and I liked it. We just didn't finish it. I don't know
Wheel of
why.
Time season 1. As someone who just straight up could take or leave the Eye of the World, and since it's mostly just adapting that,
Yeah.
I sincerely doubt I'll read more of the Wheel of Time because I'm like, I don't want like 20 more of this. I know it gets better, but this would be just as good if it was half as long, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read anything else.
Finishing Wheel of Time is a myth. Everyone I know who's actually started it has never actually fucking finished it.
My roommate claims he finished it. My old roommate Jake claims he finished Wheel of Time because he would just listen to it constantly. He would it was his like rewatching or re-listening series where he would just constantly re-listen to Wheel of Time, and he would literally go to bed listening to it, so it was like he would it's like the guy had finished Wheel of Time like multiple times is what I mean.
I wouldn't even do that for Dresden. I love Dresden.
It was like his like TV's on type of thing where he would like listen to a book until he fell asleep, which was always, I felt like that's weird because you just fall asleep and they're like Aes Sedai, and then you wake up to like a battle happening and you're like, what the fuck did I miss? You're like I don't know why.
Well, given the pacing, you might not have missed much at all. They're like, oh, we're still in the same fucking spot.
Still in Illendale, like you're like, damn it.
Fucking 11 hours in, we're still in the Shire.
Okay, moving on.
Fuck up. Watched all Futurama again because I go through, because when I come home from work, I basically only have like an hour to myself, so I basically just have to eat and watch something and go to bed. So it mostly ends up just being sitcoms. So I've been using it as a way to just fucking crush through sitcoms. So like rewatched all of Futurama again. I went through the Fruits Basket remake all again because I got a friend into it.
Yeah, and I know you. Do you want me to start Fruit Baskets at some point? And do I watch the remake or the original show?
You can watch either or. I would, if you're gonna only do one, do the remake. It's not, thankfully though, it's not like a Brotherhood situation where it assumes you've seen the original and will just rush through the old stuff and kind of rob it of any of its fucking impact. So it doesn't do that, thankfully. It doesn't try to rush through the old stuff to get to the new stuff. So you're pretty much good either way. Just know that the original is very much incomplete.
Okay. All right.
It's very sweet and romantic. So it's just like, there you go. But then it gets into some domestic shit. Like, there's always the joke that like the worst parents in anime are in Fruits Basket.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
So have fun.
Yeah, that's saying something when we were just talking about Full Metal Alchemist, talking about bad dads. They got the kings of bad dads in that movie, in that show. 2 really bad dads. You're just like, damn, you guys suck
got 2
at
flavors of bad dads because Hohenheim in original versus Brotherhood are very different characters.
They really are.
You get 2 different flavors of bad dad.
And then you have the dad who combines his daughter with the dog. Like you're just like, you're like, ah, shit, he bad.
Then I watched the 2-part like mini docu-series that Judd Apatow did, about George Carlin.
Oh yeah, those are great. They actually were rated really high. I saw
they're really good. I've always loved George Carlin.
I was laughing because it's Judd Apatow's like highest rated movie now. I was like going over to his IMDb, being like, what's he been up to lately? Like I was like trying to see if like he peaked early or something like that. And you're like, no, the newest thing, George Carlin, is his highest rated product. You're like, there you go, buddy.
It is really good. Definitely give it a watch.
Nice, love that.
Let's see. I watched Buffy season 1 again because I was getting Rob into it. We're like very fucking slowly chipping away at it because getting Rob to watch stuff is like pulling teeth.
Yeah, I'm sorry you have 2 friends who do that to you all the time.
Well, Rob's like, worse than you are.
Really? He's worse than me? I thought I was the worst. Doesn't say anything about that.
I mean, I can still get you to watch.
Deshaun says so much by being like,
yeah,
by being like, nope.
Doesn't make it better. You're still bad.
I know.
Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is the comedy special that it's sort of like the rough pilot to what eventually became the show.
Oh,
Because
cool.
it was originally just sort of like a mockumentary style comedy special about this sort of like meta thing of like Larry David not wanting to do a comedy special because he doesn't
Nice.
like performing on stage. He likes doing skits more. And it's really funny. And you could tell it even has like some of like the same actors playing themselves, but also slightly different. So it's very much like the rough pilot of just like, this could just be a show.
This could be it.
Then I watched Christina P's latest comedy special, Mom Jeans. That was funny. I went through all of Community. Then I went through all of 30 Rock. And then I went through all of Everybody
Holy
Hates Chris
shit.
with Stranger Things 4 there. Watched The Boys season 1 and 2. I'm in the middle of 3.
Me too.
I watched The Bear, which was really fucking good.
Yeah, I was happy that he won for that. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, at least they acknowledging him, you know, like it feels like that was a powerful performance. So
The Sandman came out. Watched all that. That was really good.
talk about something
Scrubs.
I have not watched it.
Watched all Scrubs. Watched all of, watched Harley Quinn season 3. I'm going through Doctor Who again with a friend, and we're on season 9 now.
Okay.
Wound through all of How I Met Your Mother.
Now, have you started How I Met Your Father yet? Have you?
Nah.
No, you don't feel like it. Yeah, I know you've been crushing them.
I've
heard not bad things.
The ending of How I Met Your Mother is one so fucking bad. But
yes.
I also asked one thing: is there still a goddamn laugh track in How I Met Your Father? They said yes, so I'm like, I'm good for now.
Yeah, fair. I hate a laugh track. I don't need to be told.
We don't need it anymore. This is 2023. We don't need laugh tracks in sitcoms anymore. It's over.
It's over. No, I mean it's really a production thing. It's like people like to shoot the shows in front of a live audience, and that means audience laughter, you know, like it's kind of the energy that people like, you know, like that. That's the thing that a lot of people miss about sitcoms is like it's a live performance also, you know, and that's the reason why a lot of people dig it, because you can like being on a sitcom, because it's kind of like a live performance every time you shoot an episode, which I think that's why we still have sitcoms the way we do, you know, because people like doing them.
But I personally don't want it, so it should be it should be erased from existence. Because I said so.
Thanos snapped.
So yeah, I went through all Scrubs, which and How I Met Your Mother. God, Scrubs is good.
Yeah,
why did you
do 2 shows with terrible endings right in a row? Like, those are.
Well, that's the thing. Scrubs doesn't have a terrible ending. The ending is in season 8.
Yeah, well, yes. Okay, fair. If you end it with the actual like ending, like season 8, and don't go into Scrubs 2.
Fucking done.
Yeah,
that's the primary
Scrubs
problem with season 9. It's not the next season; it's a spinoff.
Yeah, it's the 90s show. We're getting the 90s show this week. It's the 90s show, you know, like where you're like, I don't want this, but it's coming, I guess, you know.
The ending, the season finale, because every episode is called My Blank, like My First Day, etc. The last episode of season 8 is literally called My Finale. It's the end of the show.
It's the end of the show, and it's like that's what I feel about Scrubs. Is you're like you guys shouldn't have tried to shove in. I mean, it's the same thing as The Office, where you're like,
and it's clear
at least The Office tries to bring it back. Like they don't try to go full next generation like Scrubs does, but oof.
And it's clear that they wanted it to be a spinoff, but they were afraid to market it as such, because when you look at season 9, it has a subtitle. It's called Scrubs Med School, as if it's a spinoff or a follow-up, but you treat it like season 9, and it's not season 9. That's the problem. So
exactly.
Up to season 8, Scrubs does have a good ending. Season 9's not the ending.
All right. That makes sense.
How I Met Your Mother, terrible ending. I get why it was so infamous.
Then
a bunch of Doctor Who stuff still. Watched House of the Dragon. God damn it, it's good.
It is good? Okay. I only
good.
watched the first episode. I didn't continue on, so good.
It is really good. Matt Smith is amazing in it.
Good. Okay.
It definitely is a lot of people who have never watched Doctor Who being like, oh, this guy, Matt Smith. I'm like, yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, we all know, bro.
I watched Tales of the Jedi. I don't know if you've watched that yet.
I haven't yet.
It was solid. I want more seasons of it. I like that it's just like standalone little mini stories.
Nice. I like that.
The Ahsoka one is kind of unnecessary. It's nothing. We've kind of treaded that ground before. I really like the Young Dooku one because it's literally about him falling out with the Jedi.
Ooh. Okay.
So I'm like, I'm down
Okay.
with that. Plus, you get young Qui-Gon. Who doesn't want? You had me a young Qui-Gon.
Yeah, yeah. If you any more Qui-Gon,
And
then I'm in.
we finally found out what the fuck happened with Yaddle.
Really? They
Yeah,
explain it?
Yaddle's in it.
What the fuck?
Yaddle is in it. Played by Bryce Dallas Howard.
What? What? Say what the fuck did you just say to me? Yaddle's
Is
played
in
by
it,
Bryce
played by
Dallas
Bryce
Howard?
Dallas Howard.
What the
And
fuck?
it finally explains why Yaddle, for some reason in the movies, just disappeared after the Phantom Menace.
And did they really give a reason? Like they like
Yes.
explain it? Wow.
Yep.
Okay, well I was already gonna watch because of young Count Dooku and young Qui-Gon.
And of course, it's a Clone Wars style. So
Yeah. I was already in. But now that you say that, I'm kind of like, what did happen to Yaddle? you're like, wait a minute. I'm excited by that.
So that was really good. I watched the documentary series that Brian Fuller made called Queer for Fear.
Oh, yeah. No, I
Yeah,
saw
that was on Shudder.
That
That was really good. It's basically recounting different aspects and like subgenres of horror and specific key creators, where they look at like the history of horror as a storytelling genre from a bunch of different mediums and say, like, guys, there's always been queer creators in this medium. I'm gonna blow your mind, but Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker were both queer.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm gonna
And that's
blow your
just-
mind.
And there's even stuff earlier than that. Or the fact that James Whale was gay. He directed the original Universal Frankenstein.
There you go. That's awesome.
So
I didn't know
it
that.
talks about that and like the parable about like why horror as a subgenre has always been sort of counterculture and it appeals to groups like that.
Yeah.
And how if you look at and how why so many horror films have like a queer reading to them.
Yeah, it's kind of. I feel like it sounds like it's in the same genre as Scream Queen, the one about
very much
Freddy
so.
2. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I love that movie. That movie was great. But
so very good.
That's similar. Sounds similar.
Bunch of Doctor Who stuff because I finally just buckled down and watched the latest like season and the final specials for Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, okay. All right. What's the final thoughts on Jodie? Yep. Okay. All right then.
Jodie Whittaker is a great actress. Like you can watch plenty of other stuff she's in to see how good she is, like Attack the Block or that one episode of Black Mirror. Right, like she's a good actress.
What the fuck? I forgot about that. Attack the Block gets better and better with time. I feel like
that
is just one of those movies.
I should have more to say than you thought. Yeah, it's one of those things where like they did the thing that I was always afraid of with the idea of a female doctor, in that you made the doctor female and then you felt like, okay, we did the work, we did it.
Oh yeah, they didn't do anything.
But we
with
don't
it.
actually do anything with it.
Ugh.
The primary problem is that there's nothing for Jodie Whittaker to latch on. The doctor is so passive in Chibnall's run, it's really weird.
That's weird. Okay. Yeah, and that's not what you want from the doctor. That's not, you don't want passive doctor.
No.
Like,
And then even when they try, it's just a mess. Like they tried to flex on the original season that they had no classic monsters in Chibnall's first season because just like we're gonna do all original stuff. Oh, this is all bad and not actually that creative. Bring the master back. Bring the master back. Bring the master back.
Daleks, quick.
Yeah, just immediately. Just a whole fucking mess. Huge retcon for the series too that tries to like explain what the doctor really is. And it just it ends up being one of those stupid like retroactive sort of like special chosen one things and I hate it. I hate it so much.
Lame.
And it's one of those things where like it's probably just going to be one of those things kind of like when a comic book has a stupid twist or like a stupid revelation and we don't want to retcon it, especially if you're on the Marvel side and you don't actually reboot the universe. We just don't talk about it.
We just don't bring it up at all.
I think that's just going to be what that twist is in Chibnall's Run of Who. We're just not going to address it again. And if we do, we'll probably do it just to retcon it.
Nice. I like it.
So yeah, not great. But hey, looking forward to Russell T. Davis coming back.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, to see David Tennant again, albeit briefly, since we have Judy Gatwa coming.
Yeah. Sounds great to me.
Then so after that, the latest fucking sitcom I've been watching is My Name is Earl.
Nice. Yeah, you were telling me about that.
It's solid. It's fun. I love Jason Lee and anything, and the premise is good. We've also been going through the Netflix's series of Unfortunate Events because we read all the books. Now we're chipping away at the show. And then after that, we'll start reading something else. And watch Rings of Power. Rings of Power, I had mixed feelings about, like mixed to positive. Like I'm not down on it like a lot of people are. And then I think
Another
the
one I
last
watched
thing,
the first episode and I just didn't go further. I was like, ew.
and I think the last TV show that wasn't an anime that I watched that capped out the year was Arcane.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which was that your favorite
It's
TV
in
show
my
of the year?
favorites. Yeah.
There you
Well,
go.
it is and it isn't because I kept the favorites to stuff that was actually from this past year, and Arcane was
Yeah,
from
okay.
2021.
Okay.
But if I want to speak about it now, yes, Arcane is really fucking good. I've actually watched it twice now because I watched it with my mom.
Wow.
You don't need to know a goddamn thing about League of Legends. I'm not coming
Obviously, if
into
your
it as a
mom
fan.
watched it, like if your
Yeah,
mom watched it
exactly.
and liked it, then that's the
I
ultimate
played
proof.
League of Legends for like a month in college around the time you and I first met.
Yeah.
I'm not like coming in like a hardcore fan.
Exactly. Yeah, the same. I played League of Legends like that, and that was it. Like
But
I've played MOBAs since then. I like MOBAs.
It's
per
so well
sort of.
characterized. It's so well done, so well animated. It's one of those things where like you need to watch it because it's gonna spawn imitators. That's why you need to watch it.
Yeah, kind of one of those things. Makes sense.
All right, so that was it for general TV shows. Only 7 anime on here because I was like really falling behind on anime stuff.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised.
Communicate was good. Taisho Otomi Fairy Tale, more like me and my fucking slice of life romance stuff. Kaguya-sama's latest season was great. Spy Family was good.
Which I saw a clip today where the narrator's losing it as they ask each other out from that, and it made me be like, yeah, okay, I need to rewatch that. I need to get back to watching that show.
It's so funny. Science, Love, Mob Psycho 103, which was fucking great. Great end to the series.
Nice.
And then the latest one was Cyberpunk Edge Runners because I'd like finally beat and like platinumed Cyberpunk. So I'm like, now I'll watch Edge Runners. Edge Runners is great. That's another one where you don't necessarily have to have played 2077 to watch it, but it helps.
So that's it for anime. Now, I know this is one of the longest episodes we've ever done. So let's quickly talk about favorites. I've already said my games of the year is Vampire Survivors and Elden Ring for 2022. Those are my GOYTs, game of the years. I think they are fantastic games that anybody can play and have a great. Well, not anybody can play, but it's a good time. They're really deep and fun and worth it. Now, what is your favorite game of the year?
Games. Let's see. I did a top 3 since neither of us were playing huge games. Number 1 is Cyberpunk, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
The amount of time I put into it, with Psychonauts 2 as a second, and in third place Deep Rock Galactic. I've had a lot of fun with that.
Probably but that didn't come. Deep Rock Galactic didn't come out this year, right? Or are you just counting it as like?
No.
Did they put out content this year though? Because
I guess it technically got ported this year.
Yeah, then that counts. Yeah. That counts. It's like they put new work into it.
And plus, games are sort of a more fluid one. Like games are much more of an investment than a TV show or a fucking movie. So you might not get to it in the allotted year.
Exactly. It's very true. It's why I was like, Ragnarok was just thrown in at the end here. I felt like they almost did a disservice to it because I feel like people would have been talking about Ragnarok.
That's like holiday gaming season. That's what you buy as a Christmas present.
It's true.
Yeah.
And they did. I think it was the #1 game.
And plus, it's also fitting because it's Ragnarok. It takes place in like Fimbulwinter, so like the snowy aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, I did play that one bit of 2018 God of War, and I was blown away, even though it didn't run great on Steam. I was blown away by the game. I was super impressed. I want to keep playing, but I kind of want to like play it on a better system, maybe, and play it on this PC that's streaming right now instead of my Steam Deck because
maybe that'll work.
Maybe that'll work. Who knows? But then TV of the year. That's a hard one for me. Favorite TV wise, I will say White Lotus is obviously my highest rated of the TVs. Shows that I have on this list. So I will say White Lotus is my 2022 TV show winner. You know, like I'm like that's the fucking shit right there.
Okay.
Came out in 2022 and blew my mind.
I have a top 5 for like non-anime TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Arcane with an honorable mention because it didn't come out this past year.
Yep.
House of the Dragon at number 5.
Okay.
It is very good. Stranger Things 4 at number 4. Harley Quinn season 3 at number 3. That was definitely unintentional. Stranger Things 4 at 4 and season 3 at 3.
Yeah, right.
Number 2 is The Sandman. The Sandman was great.
Nice.
Like it's one of those things where like it's The Sandman is a tough fucking cookie. It's a tough one to adapt.
Yes, it
And
is.
the fact that it was done as well as it did, and yeah, there are some like minor things. I have things like, oh man, you didn't do this though. I'm like, but I get it.
Yeah.
It all works. But favorite TV this year was absolutely without a doubt Better Call Saul's final season.
Really? Holy shit. Okay. All
Yes,
right.
it's over, and yes, it did end well, just like Breaking Bad did. I've had conversations where people think that where people prefer not only the show but probably the ending for this too.
Wow. That's impressive in a lot of ways. Um Now, okay, so that's that. I mean, I haven't even started Breaking Bad, so I guess I gotta get on that.
You should.
Um,
You should have years ago.
Now
And then anime,
movies.
it's like Edge Runners, Kaguya-sama's latest season, and the number one is Mob Psycho 3.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, anime wise, 2002 wise, that's the tough part. It's like I want to give it to Kuko's Doan's Island for Mobile Suit Gundam, but that's a movie, sort of. So but it's an anime movie.
I'm
So,
also
but I've
not
watched
going
a
to
lot
go
of anime
through.
movies this year.
I'm not going to go through all the whole because we're already running long on this episode. I'm not going to go through all the books I actually read this year, but I will
Yeah.
go through the top 5.
Okay, top 5 then.
So
Hit
first
me with
off,
it.
in case you didn't know, I read all of One Piece this year. I caught up on it.
Jesus
3
Christ.
volumes a week with my buddy Rob without a break consistently. It took us about half a year to do it.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck.
But we did it. I mean, I'm not technically caught up now because I've like left it alone for a couple weeks since we finished. Because I just want to let it pile. And
fell
I'll just
behind.
pile and binge read.
Fell a little bit behind. As I feel like that's an incredible feat, dude.
That was an
I give you all the
accomplishment.
props for doing that. That's incredible.
It's funny. This actually kind of broke my streak that I've realized I've had on my Goodreads challenges when I actually look at the shit I've read. I've noticed that once every other year, I do a deep dive on a long comic.
Yes, you do.
Because I'm like, okay, oh shit, this year I straight up just read the entire Brian Bendis run of Ultimate Spider-Man from like Peter to Miles.
Nice.
Oh, this year, and 2 years after that, I read all of Invincible. The years before that was when I read all of Fables and all of Berserk the same year.
Yep, and now all of One Piece, which is crazy. You're like, holy fuck.
It was an adventure. But as far as like top 5, not going through like everything I fucking read, this was a late edition, like right near the end of the year. But number 5 is Epithet Erased Prison of Plastic.
What?
Which is the novel continuation. You know, you're familiar with Jello Apocalypse, right? He's the YouTuber who does the So This Is Basically videos.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he made his own animated series. It was originally a Verve exclusive, but now it's just all up on YouTube since he owns the rights to the entire show, thankfully.
Okay.
But a fun little show made in sort of like a visual novel style, or like the So This Is Basically episodes for budgetary reasons. Fun, charming, super creative, and funny. Didn't do well enough to get a second season.
Oh.
Or like, because, you know, animation's fucking expensive, even when you are limited.
Yup.
So what he did instead was he's going to readapt the first season as a novel, but from here on out, it's going to turn into a novel series. But on the audiobook side, it's full cast, music, and sound effects. So it's basically like you're just listening to the second season.
Shit. That's cool. I love that.
So that's how I did it. So that was very good. Much more emotional than the first season. Number 4 is The Dragon Republic. That's the second Poppy War book. That's like one of those series I really push to people if you want to get in on what modern fantasy books are doing and fucking get out of the Tolkien space for 2 seconds.
Okay, fair.
And then number 3 is Cheating with 2, because it's basically a 2-part story, is Peace Talks and Battleground. Those are the latest 2 Dresden Files books.
Oh, okay, cool.
Since that's another thing I did this past year was I'm caught up on the Dresden Files completely.
Jesus Christ, it's so many books.
But all this shit I'm doing, Frank, I can't even get you to watch Glass Onion.
I'm not even reading any books. I don't have favorite books this year. I'm not.
I know.
I mean, Chainsaw Man. I fucking read all of Chainsaw Man. That's my fucking pick for book of the year. Chainsaw Man's fucking manga. Fantastic read.
I didn't get back to the show. I only watched like a few episodes, but I liked it.
Yeah, I wanted to reread Chainsaw Man to go watch it. So
latest Dresden Files books, super good. Another fucking game changer for the series, just like Changes was.
Nice.
I look forward to it. I look forward to more. I hate that I'm caught up now. I have to wait like the rest of the fucking peasants.
Nice.
Absolutely has become my favorite like fantasy book series.
Oh, the other thing I've read this year, another manga, I've picked up all of Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt, all 20.
Yeah, I remember you
21
picking
volumes, 18 volumes. It's actually fantastic. They've came out with 2 or 3 volumes this year. Actually, really great reads. I love the way it's ramping up. Absolutely worth it.
Number 2 is
that's all
Saga
I've read.
Volume. Nah, number 2 is Saga Volume 10
Nice.
because
Nice.
Saga's finally back, and it's
Saga's
like they
back,
never
baby.
fucking left.
Nice. I love that shit.
Like I
Okay.
reread the series just to even like catch myself up again, and it doesn't even feel like they took a break because sometimes you let something come off again,
Yeah.
you come back to it, it's not the same.
It's different. Yeah, it's like they're different, like.
But it works and it's fantastic. And then my favorite book of the year, which on my Audible records, because they did like the year in review for like Audible for me, there was a book that, according to them, I listened to for 8.5 hours straight.
Did you?
And when I looked at it, I'm like, oh yeah, that tracked, because that was definitely my favorite book of the year. And it was early in the year too, which is funny. It was like January. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. That's Andy Weir wrote The Martian. This is his latest book.
Oh, cool. Okay. And what is it? Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary is basically, how do I describe it? It's an infection of this new sort of like celluloid alien life form that's basically dimming the sun.
Oh, cool.
So it kind of has like a Sunshine vibe to it, if you've ever seen Danny Boyle's
Yeah.
Sunshine.
Yep.
And the idea is, okay, we need to study this material and know how to kill it. It's basically like the sun is infected.
Oh, that's
with like
cool.
an alien life form that we've never encountered before. We need to actually send someone out there to go take care of it. And they send this like astrophysicist who's not a trained astronaut to like, but how this will work. We're fucking sending you out there. And the book opens up with him having amnesia because he's been in a medically induced coma as he wakes up on the spaceship, and he has to piece together what the fuck he's supposed to do here.
Oh, that's cool.
While meeting a new alien sentient life form that he then befriends, and they both work together as 2 scientists from 2 different species to solve the problem.
I mean, sounds pretty good.
It's a great fucking book. It is being developed right now. Who's doing it? I think it's actually supposed to. I think Lord and Miller are actually trying to do it.
Really? Okay.
And it's supposed to be like Ryan Gosling playing the protagonist.
Okay, I'm in. You'll have to send me the link once the trailer.
And Drew Goddard is attached to write it since he wrote the adaptation of The Martian. So you're just like, well, you did a great job with that here.
Here you go. Here you go again. All right. Now that's the best your favorite books, my favorite books, favorite movies. We've already sort of said them. For me, it's Everything Everywhere All at Once in The Whale as my 2. Like those are my top 2 of the year.
Number 5 is Glass Onion, which is a pretty recent addition.
Yeah.
I've watched Glass Onion 4 times now.
Wow, holy shit.
It's really fucking good. I still prefer Knives Out.
Okay. Good to know.
Number 4 is X and Pearl. If I had to pick one, probably X. I like X a little more.
Okay.
Number 3 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and number 2 is The Whale, and number 1 is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Nice. I love that. That's great. I mean, I think that it's a decent year for TV, movies, and everything. I think 2022 was. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once makes this year shine. Like there's lots of great movies, but that's one of those movies that just shines above and will become an instant classic. I hope. I want to believe that it will be. But guys, really thank you so much for sticking around. We are probably we're almost at 3 hours. We're at 2 hours 42 minutes. So thank you for listening in for so long, for listening to our big Filthy Casual retrospective. But make sure that you check out our more concentrated episodes. We stick on one topic. We're not usually shooting the shit like this. That's very much more concentrated, but I like this. I like these formats. So thank you guys for listening to our very long year of taking in content. I don't know who says it, but was it Spielberg who says to watch a movie a day or something like that? And I think with the anime and the TV show, we pretty much watched a movie every fucking day. So, we're doing.
Yeah, I cannot say I wasn't productive this year.
Yeah.
Because between all the shit I watched, read, experienced at events, and I fucking finished another draft of my book. I got shit done this past year.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. I got promoted. I'm a technical director now at work, so
You got a
things were
house.
good. You got a house. Things were happening in 2022, and we can only hope 2023 will not be 2020. Like it'll be a different beast in all of its own. It's looking like a good year for movies, games, and TV shows at the moment, and the anime year ended strong, so I'm hoping that the anime year here
Get ready
will be
for
just as
the
good.
Barbie and Oppenheimer double
Oh
feature.
my fucking god, that's gonna be the best day at the movies all fucking year. I'm so excited. So we won't talk about things we're excited for 2023, but leave them in the comments. Ask us if you're about Barbie and stuff like that. We want to talk about
What are
it.
you excited about?
Yeah, what are you excited about? What do you not agree with our lists here? I know I gave ratings the whole time. What do you not agree with? Let us know down below. We love your comments. We love talking to you guys. And guys, thank you so much for supporting the show. The Warp Shelf on GalaxyGeek.com and on the Galaxy Geek YouTube. You can check out our podcast on any podcast platform. We're literally on everything, but you can watch our beautiful faces on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, make it the algorithm work, do the things below, so we can continue to keep bringing you guys fun episodes. We have some really fun ideas coming up in 2023. We're going to continue the AFI Top 100 list, but of course, we are not stopping with some of our favorite movies we saw. We'll see throughout the year, so don't worry. We'll still be doing pretty much a lot of Disney Plus stuff, a lot of a lot of fun movies, and the AFI Top 100. So thank you guys for joining us for another year of the Warp Shelf. I really appreciate all of you. And be sure to check out our own personal social medias. I'm Yep Frank everywhere, or Yep Gundam on Instagram if you're into Gundams. And then Desham?
Mod Karaika everywhere.
Nice. So check us out on those personal places. And guys, thank you. I hope you all have a fantastic 2023. And I'm excited for another year of great films and movies and TV shows.
Absolutely. So see you on whatever is next.
Yes, we'll see you on whatever's next. Adios, amigos.